What a day to be a New York Giant fan. What a day to be a New York Giant fan. Stand up, New York Giant fans. I've been on YouTube since 2018. Been on YouTube through a lot of dark times. The Saquon Barkley pick, the Daniel Jones draft, 2020, 2021. We've been through dark times. For 4 years, this team has not sniffed where we're going. This team in the first draft, the first year with Brian Daboll, is 9-6-1. They could easily be 10-6 right now. They should be 10-6 right now. They should have beaten Washington the first time around. They should have swept them. But regardless, it doesn't matter. Our record's 0-0 as far as I'm concerned. Everybody's record resets come playoff time. And it looks like, based off of what just happened, we're going to be taking on the Minnesota Vikings in the first round of the playoffs. So we get a little rematch against the team that I think we should have beat the first time around. Now we're going to be more healthy. We're going to have Adoree Jackson back probably. We're going to have McKinney back. Hopefully he gets the club off by then, but I'm not going to bank on that. And I think we can match up well with them. We'll see how that all plays out, and we'll see how the last week of the season plays out as far as San Francisco and Minnesota goes. But it looks much more probable that that's going to be the first team that we get in the first round of the playoffs. The Giants right now are locked into the 6th seed. They're going to play either the Niners or the Vikings. And on top of that, the team I hate more than any other, the Philadelphia Eagles, and we're going to play our starters, by the way, next week. And I know a lot of people are going to ask, should we play our starters, should we not? Dave already came out and said we're gonna. We should. We're a young team. We're not a Super Bowl team. Every week matters to this team in terms of the growth and the development of the players on this team. I am completely for them playing their starters the last week of the season. I want them to still continue to build rapport between Hodgins and Daniel Jones. Maybe you pull them in the third quarter, whatever. But I think this is also a game going into the playoffs, much like that New England Patriots game. Not that I'm comparing the teams, not that I'm setting Super Bowl expectations. I'm not. But I think this is a game, much like that New England Patriots game in 2007, the last game of the season when we had nothing to play for, that Coughlin decided to start his players against arguably the best team in football this year with the Philadelphia Eagles. We'd be doing the same thing. And it's a game that could potentially build some confidence for the players. I understand that there's a risk with injury and everything else, but we have an opportunity to take away the number 1 seed from the Philadelphia Eagles. And if that does any damage in terms of ruining their Super Bowl possibilities, I'm completely for it. If we lose, we lose. But I want us to play our starters, and I want us to go out there and give it everything they got against the Eagles week 18. Wolf says, Dana, I was there. I wish I caught you at the tailgate. Yeah, I was there. I was there at about 10 o'clock. I got there, I think, and I was there for about 2.5 hours before we went in. Katrik, I saw that he donated. I saw him there. I saw a bunch of people there. I had such a good time. I actually got to meet David Tyree on the way in. Didn't really talk to him, but I was standing next to him. We went over there and met Brandon London, the marching band for the New York Giants. So that was cool, getting to walk into the stadium side by side with those guys. And then, of course, seeing the New York Giants clinch the playoffs. Doesn't get much better than that. We're going to go over Daniel Jones. We're going to go over Kayvon Thibodeau. We're going to go over Landon Collins. We're going to go over Saquon Barkley. We're going to go over the whole team. But just be happy, Giants fans. I don't understand it. 2 weeks ago, I had Giants fans saying, why we shouldn't even make the playoffs. Shouldn't even make the playoffs. What does it mean if we make the playoffs? It means you have an opportunity to grow as a young team. That's what it means. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles last year. They grew, right? They benefited from that. I think due in large part to the fact that they made the playoffs last year and they played in crunch time football games, something that the New York Giants have done down the stretch. We've now played in essentially 4 playoff games, both Washington games, the game today and the game against the Minnesota Vikings. All of them had playoff vibes to them, right? In terms of the pressure, what was, how much those games meant. So I think that's great for the development of Daniel Jones, who, by the way, like I've been saying for 8 weeks, some of you fans don't want to get it through your head. Ian Rappaport came out and said it today, is absolutely coming back at the end of the year. It's the worst kept secret in the NFL. Brian Daboll came out after the game and said how much he loves Daniel Jones. Jones today had the highest QBR in a single game throughout the course of the entire NFL season for any quarterback today against the Indianapolis Colts. Last week, I saw, and I'm, again, don't twist my words and say that I'm saying he's better than Justin Herbert. I'm not doing that. But last week, I saw Justin Herbert go up against this same defense with Mike Williams, with Keenan Allen. He had 2 turnovers and 0 touchdowns. Dan Jones had 4 touchdowns today. No turnovers. With Richie James as his number 1 option. Isaiah Hodgins is his number 2 option, and Darius Slayton is his number 3 option. He's come back. Can't wait. Good treat, man. Thank you very much, man. Great meeting you again. Let's go, G-Man. It was a blast getting to meet you, man. Thank you so much. Great kid. It was great to meet you and all your friends, man. And hopefully you enjoyed the win as much as I did. JD says, think Daniel Jones is coming back. Let me think about that for about 2 seconds, JD. Let me think. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to get back to you on that. JD, I mean, we talk all the time on Twitter, but yeah, he's coming back. And I think he's going to get probably a 3-year contract, possibly a 4-year contract. I think it'll be a 2-year option to be able to get out if things don't progress. But I think this regime likes him a lot. And I think we're going to give him a contract, as we should. And I could only think he's going to grow next year when we get him more help, when he's more accustomed to this scheme. And I think what you've seen the last 2 weeks with Daniel Jones specifically is you've seen now Brian Daboll say, okay, it's time. You've gotten experience now in this offense. You've built a rapport with some of the wide receivers. We're gonna let you loose. And the last 2 weeks, they have. They've let Daniel Jones loose, and they've said, you go and win us these football games. And that's exactly what he's done. That's not that. Well, he didn't win last week, but he played great against Minnesota. But that's not to say that he wasn't winning us games earlier in the year. He was, but now, you know, he's throwing for 300-400 yards. Not today. He threw for 175, but the stats are misleading. He had 90 yards on the ground. He played a fantastic game. But yeah, JD, to answer your question, he's absolutely coming back. King Trizzy says, playoff Danny Dimes. Holy shit, let's go, baby. Yeah, listen, man, Daniel Jones has played, if you look over the course of his career now, he's played in terms of high-pressured situations. He played the Cowboys in 2020, played well in the last game of the season in which we needed it to make the playoffs. Played Washington twice this year, played well in both games. Played fantastic in the first game, didn't get any help. Had the penalty by Feliciano at the end of the game, had the drop ball by Darius Slayton. Played really well in that game. The second game was obviously much more Kayvon Thibodeau, but Jones had a key drive in that game. His best drive as a pro. Probably the best drive by any New York Giants quarterback in about 10 years. That's how good that drive was, maybe 8 years. I think they said it was the longest drive since 2014, and it was in a crucial spot in that game in which the New York Giants trailed. The defense was starting to tire out. But that was obviously much more Kayvon Thibodeau. Then he has the incredible game against Minnesota, which was a huge game, and then he plays well today. So I think Jones is starting to show you that he can play well in the big moments. And now he's got what? What has he got now? He's got what? 7 rushing touchdowns, I think? 7 rushing touchdowns, 15 passing. Yes, the rushing touchdowns count. He's got 22 total touchdowns now, folks. And I think he's got about 7 turnovers for the year if you include fumbles. Maybe it's 8. Time to stop hating. And Mike Nixon says, we did it, ain't a playoff bound. I was literally in tears, bro. I can't believe it, bro. We fight for Daboll, and he never gave up all season, bro. Dude, Brian Daboll is a beast. Brian Daboll, to me, should probably still win Coach of the Year. Maybe he won't because the New York Giants regressed a bit in the second half in terms of record. Obviously, a lot of that had to do with the fact that we had as many injuries as we did, and we were playing some really good opponents. But Brian Daboll has done a fantastic job with this football team. And another guy I'm going to give credit to that I've seen a lot of Giants fans knock is Mike Kafka. New York Giants, again, inside the 20 today. We were ranked 8th in the NFL coming into today in red zone offense. We got into the 20 5 times today. 4 times we put up a touchdown. 4 times. The other thing on that throw to, I think it was to Hodgins on the touchdown. Once again, much like last week, Daniel Jones. People talk about his pocket presence. What did he do? Felt the pressure, stepped up in the pocket, bought his wide receiver more time to break the route, catch the touchdown. Great things, right? And I think some of that goes to coaching and obviously Jones's development. But Brian Daboll's been fantastic. Dominic, man, what's going on, man? He says, playoffs, baby. Let's go, man. Let's go. I can't wait, man. I can't wait for Minnesota. Cowboys for Life says, classless by Kayvon. He saw he was hurt, kept going. I'm in the stands. I didn't see it on TV. I know he did the Snow Angel. I know the guy got hurt. I'm sure the optics weren't good. If he knew he was hurt, yeah, it's a bad move by Kayvon. I didn't see it on TV. All I can tell you is Kayvon Thibodeau is a monster. And unfortunately, he's probably going to hurt a lot of quarterbacks throughout the course of his career. He is a beast, but obviously the optics don't look good that he's celebrating with the guys down on the turf, but it's very possible he didn't know that. I would assume he didn't know that. But regardless, he's an animal. Dexter Lawrence continues to be an animal. New York Giants pass rush is going to be out of this world in the next 2 or 3 years. It's going to be out of this world. Between Azeez Ojulari, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, this team is not nearly as far away, at least in my opinion, as some fans think, as being a very good football team. They're not that far away. They're not. They got the pass rush, and that pass rush is going to get a lot better next year as Kayvon Thibodeau further develops. They've got the left tackle. Evan Neal, I think, will grow and get better. And I think we got the quarterback. I do. I'm not going to fully commit and say he's going to be a 15-year quarterback like Eli Manning was. I'm not doing that. But I think we got a quarterback that can win us a lot of football games if you get him some help. And I think he's an above-average starter in the NFL. I do. I think he's an above-average starter in the NFL. No doubt about it. He's at worst to me a fringe top 10 quarterback. With the supporting cast that this guy has had all year, for him to get this team to 9-6-1, and people continue to try to discredit Daniel Jones. The guy has the worst wide receiving core in football. The guy's one of the worst interior offensive lines in football. He's got the worst linebacking core in football. He's got the worst cornerback duo in football with Adoree Jackson out. Yet he plays the most important position, but people say they win in spite of him. No, Daniel Jones has done a fantastic job this year. And I think he's at worst a fringe top 10 quarterback at this point in time. And it speaks to as much as the poor quarterback play around the league, but he's played tremendous. He's played great for the Giants this year. I can't wait to see what he looks like next year. NY Giants 26 is we kicked ass today. 2023 is awesome. This has been the most fun I've had talking about being a Giants fan in general since our last Super Bowl year. Much more fun than 2016. This is a much more fun team, right? Because you're getting to see players like Jones and players like Barkley actually get an opportunity and grow. We're building something. We brought in a new GM, a new regime, and they're building. It feels at least like they're building it the right way. I have a lot more faith in terms of our coach with Dable as opposed to McAdoo, who kind of just got hired guns right when we spent a lot in free agency. So this is the most fun I've had as a Giants fan in terms of watching the team since our last Super Bowl. I mean, it's been incredible. It's been a really fun year. What do we need to face Minnesota in the playoffs? Well, the 49ers won. I'm pretty sure Minnesota lost. I'm almost positive they did. I didn't get a chance to look, but they were losing by a lot. Let me just take a quick look to make sure, to confirm, but I'm almost positive that's the case. And if if Minnesota lost, and they did, Green Bay beat them. Green Bay, by the way, is going to get the. I didn't see the standings yet, but I said it before this week. I think Green Bay is going to get the 7th seed. I think they're very dangerous. They're hot right now. Obviously, Rodgers has been in the playoffs for a while, but we don't got to worry about them. We're going to be the 6th seed. But as far as the Minnesota thing goes, as long as Minnesota loses next week, we're in. And even, not in, rather, we're going to play Minnesota if they lose next week. And even if Minnesota wins next week, if the 49ers also win, and I think they're playing the Arizona Cardinals, if I'm not mistaken, a team they should obviously beat, we're in. We're playing Minnesota. So as long as the 49ers win, we're playing Minnesota. And if Minnesota loses and the 49ers lose, we still play Minnesota. The only way we'd play the Niners at this point, I'm pretty sure, is if the Niners lost and Minnesota won. So it's looking more and more probable we're going to be getting the Minnesota Vikings week 1 in the playoffs. Al Batch, man, what's going on, man? It's been a long road. See, happy days finally, dude. That was the crowd was electric today. The fans were out of control. Loudest I've been. I don't have season tickets. I don't go to every game, but the loudest I've heard the stadium in a really long time. It was a great atmosphere. Got to hang out with so many great Giants fans, and it just feels good, man. It feels good to actually. At this point, I think I've graduated to the idea that we're a good football team. You know, I think we're a legitimate good football team. I don't think we're great, but I think we're a legitimate playoff team. And I know the talent may say otherwise, but we're coached very well. We're fundamentally sound. You look at they do everything right. In terms of now, the run defense is not good, but that's more to do with the lack of talent, right? Even today, with how good the defense played, the run defense was bad. We were getting chewed up, and that's something we got to worry about, right? Going into the playoffs, because I thought Washington did a poor job getting away from the run when they played us. That's something I'm really worried about. Next year, that has to be a focal point for the Giants. They got to get linebacker help because our run defense is not good, and it was not very good today. I don't have the stats in front of me, but countless 6, 7, 8-yard gains. But regardless, I think this is a good team. I think they're very well coached, and I think their quarterback gives us a chance to win most weeks. So I think we got a shot going up against Minnesota. I really do, and their defense just isn't very good. And Lick, man, thank you very much. He says, stand up, best win we've had in a long time. I got to leave work and still got paid to go home. Well, that's good. 07 vibes. That stadium was rocking. Let's go. The stadium, yeah, dude, it was loud. And thank you, man. Bob says, Tana, we're going to the playoffs. I'm so pumped. Happy, all the emotion, all the emotional, dude. I like I said earlier during the stream when I first popped on, I had fans telling me like, why are you excited to make the playoffs? We're not going to do anything, dude. This is the playoffs. We haven't been in the playoffs since 2016. And as Giants fans, we should know better than anybody. Even if the possibility is 1%, if you got a ticket to the dance, you got a chance. I mean, I saw the Giants go 9-7 and go to a Super Bowl. And win a Super Bowl. I saw the Giants go 10-6. I saw the Arizona Cardinals, I think, win 9 games and go to a Super Bowl against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I saw the Cincinnati Bengals last year, I think, win 10 games. Nobody expected they'd go on the run that they did. You never know. That's why you want to give yourself the opportunity. I'm not telling you I think we're going to go on that run. I'm not. I don't. But give me the opportunity. And at a bare minimum, it gives you very valuable experience in the playoffs. Sticky Finger says, stand up. What was the Jones ovation like? Got here late. Sorry if it was. No, it was not already. Sticky Fingers. Thanks so much for popping in. Thank you to everybody for being here. Congratulations on the Giants win today. The Daniel Jones ovation, at least for me as a fan, because this year I've really grown a liking for Daniel Jones for a lot of the hate he takes, I think unfairly due to this fan base. I went into this year trying to be as objective as I could. I thought that there was a decent to high possibility we were going to be moving off of him for the simple reason, new regime. I thought we were going to be picking high in the draft. I didn't think we'd win more than 6 or 7 games. They've surprised me. But I went into the year saying if he has a car-like year, verbatim, that's what I said. If he has a car-like year, if he carries this team to the playoffs, he absolutely should be back. And he's done that. So I was so happy for him when he got the appreciation from the fan base today. 80,000 people on their feet. I'm sure there was like 6,000 that probably hate Daniel Jones, but the majority of the people, it was very loud. And don't think that wasn't intentional by Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll talked about it after the game, how much he likes Daniel Jones and how he's been so consistent this year and how he wasn't surprised by today's effort. And it's just, basically what he's been doing all year. That's basically what he said. But yeah, it was awesome to hear that ovation, to see Jones get the appreciation that he deserved. And Daboll did that intentionally because he knew he brought him in for the first 2 plays of that drive. And he knew, he wanted the crowd to acknowledge what he's done for this team this year. So that's why he brought him in for 2 plays. That's why he took him out mid-drive, because he knew he'd get the standing ovation, and he did. And I was proud as a Giants fan to see the fans react that way, because you worry about that, right? Because a lot of the fans are, we saw with Eli throughout the course of his career, but it was overwhelming support for Daniel Jones, and he deserved it. I mean, the guy had 4 touchdowns today against the defense, like I said earlier, that held Justin Herbert to 0 touchdowns and 2 turnovers last week. John, man, how loud was MetLife? Collins pick 6. John, you want to hear something funny? The Collins pick 6, I was standing next to 2 people up in the stands, a couple, and then I was standing next to like 3 other guys that were season ticket holders. But when that pick 6 happened, the 2 people that were sitting next to me got up. And I guess they went to the bathroom or got a beer or whatever. As soon as I saw the ball in the air, I had about 10 clear seats in my row. As soon as I saw the ball get thrown in the air, I saw Landon Collins jump in the route. And I ran the length of the seats. I ran 10 seats back and forth, screaming at the top of my lungs. But I nearly lost my voice when that play happened. That was awesome. I got goosebumps during that play. But I was running with Landon Collins. I ran almost the length of my row because there was nobody in it for that play. So that was pretty cool. But MetLife was really loud on that play, man. Deafeningly loud. No doubt about it. Let's see what we got. How it was loud. It was the loudest I've ever heard, I think, at a Giants game. Again, I don't have season tickets. I've never been to a playoff game, but it was loud. Robert says, hey, Chris, what was to happen for us to play Minnesota? Yeah, somebody asked me that earlier. So Minnesota lost today to Green Bay, and the 49ers won. So the only way we don't play Minnesota at this point is they have to win next week and the Niners have to lose. If the Niners win, no matter what Minnesota does, we're playing Minnesota. Yeah, that's how it works. And if the Vikings win, as long as the Niners win, we still get Minnesota. So it would take the combination of a Vikings win and a Niners loss. I think the Niners are playing Arizona, a team they should absolutely beat. I mean, they're on the 3rd-string quarterback. So odds are we're going to be getting Minnesota in the first round of the playoffs. That's where it's leaning. But you never know. That's why they play the games. Frank Manny says, think if he gets 50 to 60 guaranteed, he will sign. Seems like he's a guy willing to bet that he will be better 2 years down the road. I'm assuming you're talking about Jones and not Barkley. I think Jones is going to get a 3-year deal, maybe a 4-year deal. But it's going to be a deal that the Giants could probably maneuver out of after 2 years, regardless of the length of the contract, whether it's 3 years or 4 years. And if Jones continues to progress when we get him more help, they'll rip up the contract and they'll give him a real extension, like a 5-year commitment, 4-year, like something like not identical, but like what franchise quarterbacks get, like Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, so on and so forth. But I think this will kind of be in the middle of like a franchise tag and a franchise quarterback deal. It'll be like a 3 or 4 year deal with a 2-year commitment. and they'll see what he could become. And if he becomes a high-end quarterback, they'll extend him. And I think that's what it is. I think he's going to get a 2-year opportunity for the Giants, if I had to guess, at year's end. I think it's going to be a 3 or 4 year deal with a 2-year out. And I hope that's what he gets, because I think he deserves it, and I think it's the best course of action for this Giants team, for several of the reasons I've expressed in the past, in recent weeks. Jason says, "Can we talk about the O-line today? Played great. The O-line did play well today. Played very well. Gave Jones a lot of time. Jones helped the line with some of his ability to step up in the pocket, like I said earlier on that touchdown. But yeah, the line played well. Barkley had a couple of nice holes. Barkley looked good. I know the stats may not say it. I don't have the stats in front of me. Let me pull up the stats real quick. I don't think he had a ton of rushing yards. The other thing that I liked in this game, by the way, was their usage of the 2 running back set. I've talked about that in recent weeks, something I wanted to see. They didn't use it to its full extent, but I think they had 3 or 4 plays where they motioned Barkley. He was lined up out wide left or wide right. They had like an orbit motion behind Daniel Jones. And on every play, he elected to go to Matt Breida. But just to present that option for the defense, I like to see that today. I thought that was creative. Again, I don't have the stats in front of me. For some reason, they're not loading on ESPN, but I don't think Barkley had the best statistical game. But he had a couple of really nice runs, where he made nice cuts into small holes. I thought he ran hard overall for the majority of the game. Breida had a couple of nice runs, too, specifically at the end of the game when the New York Giants were trying to close it out. But, yeah, the offensive line did the job today. They've gotten better week over week, right? So it's good to see, man. The offense, they'll be put to the test if we play a team like the 49ers. Make no mistake about that. But it's a work in progress, and they're getting better. This whole team is getting better. Kayvon Thibodeaux. Don't even get me started on Kayvon Thibodeaux. I could talk about Kayvon Thibodeaux all night. Half this fan base, well, not half, but there was a portion of this fan base that was calling the guy a bust. Right now, the guy looks like one of the best edge rushers in football. The guy's a monster. And I was about to explode when he almost had that pick six. The ball goes right into his hand. And of course, he shouldn't have caught it. It was like a bullet, like from 5 feet away. But if he ever ran that back, man, the stadium would have exploded. Rodney says, everyone is soft about the hit by Kayvon. It showed toughness. Reminded me something out of the 80s defense. Teams need to know we're not playing. Again, I didn't get the experience that you guys do on the TV. I was in the 300 section, so I don't know how it appeared. I just saw him doing snow angels after the fact. In my head, while I was watching the game, I was just screaming because it was a huge sack and a huge play. And I just assumed he didn't know that Nick Foles was hurt when he did that. If he did, that's a bad look on his part. I'm assuming he didn't. But I don't know. New Jersey Justin says, Chris, this is what good teams do against bad teams. Yeah, our first blowout win. And I actually predicted this. I didn't hit the score on the head, but I predicted a blowout win on Patricia Traina's channel on Thursday. I think I said 31-13. And I almost never predict blowouts, but I had a feeling because it didn't really happen the way that I envisioned it happening. I thought we'd probably create another turnover or 2 on defense. And I didn't think Daniel Jones would have this good of a game against the Colts defense that actually looked pretty good the week before. But I thought we would create like 2, 3, maybe even 4 turnovers against Nick Foles, and we'd run up the score that way. So I wasn't surprised it was a blowout. I was a little bit surprised in terms of how the blowout took place. But this offense is just getting better week over week. MY Giants 26 says, Chris, you see my vid on Twitter? Got me. I did not. I'll have to look at it after MY Giants 26. I did not. I'll have to look at it after. Frank says, no, they aren't that far away. They're one middle linebacker, cornerback away from a top 3 or 4. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm maybe top 6, 7, but they are one good corner. It doesn't even need to be a great corner. One good corner along with a legitimate middle linebacker away from having a very special defense. You put, you say we draft a linebacker in the first round, we find a good linebacker to put in on this defense with those edge rushers. Come on. And that defensive line, yeah, the linebacker is clearly what we need, I think, more than anything else. I mean, and it's apparent in terms of our run defense, right? Because as good as our defensive line is with Dex and Leo, once those runners get to the second level, I mean, when teams run against us, they either get 1 or 2 yards because Dex and Leo clog up the hole, or they get 8 because the linebackers are just so bad in terms of run defense. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting a really good linebacker. Hopefully the New York Giants break the trend and take a first-round linebacker next year. That or a wide receiver, but we certainly need one. Michi says, I was at the Giants game today, and it was electric. Those DJ chants were amazing, and it's great to see the fan base finally be behind DJ for once. Yeah, Michi, I feel like over the offseason, it became like a cool thing to, like, even from Giants fans or like a decent portion of Giants fans to just like make fun of DJ and just be like, oh, he's, I can't wait to get rid of him. We should start Tyrod Taylor. But it's good to see that I think the majority of the fan base is coming around and supporting him because he deserves it. I mean, the guy's tough as nails. Everything you hear, his teammates respect him, hard worker, and he's played great this year, all things considered. He's played great. So I'm happy. I'm happy to see he's getting the support that he deserves. Muted Growl says, having a fringe top 10 quarterback might be more valuable than a fringe top 5 quarterback when you take into consideration the cap space you save on their contract. Well, if you pay him like a fringe top 10, if you end up paying him like a fringe top 5, like a lot of these teams have done in the past with Kyler Murray, with, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, then it's not as valuable, right? But if you pay him like a fringe top 10, there's at least an argument to be had. By the way, Muted Growl, I don't necessarily think he's going to reach top 5 status, but I think he could get even higher than where I have him now. Because next year, I think he's going to grow more. I think he's going to grow a lot more next year. Second year in this offense with some more help. So I am very excited to see when he comes back next year what he could become. Because I'm going to be honest with you. Before this year, and it had as much to do with his upbringing as anything else, I was not excited about Daniel Jones. I didn't think he was going to become a guy that I would even contemplate could potentially be a franchise quarterback. I'm at that level now, where at least I want to see what he can become. I thought the New York Giants just completely ruined him, and we were going to play out the year and see how the year went, and more than likely, we were going to be drafting a quarterback. And I'm glad he proved me wrong, and he proved a lot of other people wrong, and I hope he continues to grow off this because the kid's got talent. I mean, another throw today, by the way, that I think is going overlooked by a lot of people. People that say that Daniel Jones, and I'm curious to see, let me pull up the recent chat so I could, because obviously I'm far behind trying to catch up with you guys. I'm curious to see what you guys thought about this throw and how it appeared on television, because where I was sitting, I'm going to tell you what, I think it was, I can't remember who caught it. I think it was Slayton, and it was only about a 10 or 12-yard throw. The guy's about to get sacked. He's falling down on his right side, diagonally, can't step into the throw, flat-footed, and he delivered a fastball, 110-mile-an-hour fastball. For anybody that watches that throw and tells me that Daniel Jones doesn't have good arm strength, get a set of eyes. A lot of quarterbacks can't make that throw. A lot of quarterbacks can't make that throw. A lot of quarterbacks can't make that throw in the NFL. I'm telling you right now. That was a good throw. and that showed his arm strength. He's got better arm strength than I think a lot of people give him credit for. I really do. And Muted Growl, he says, having a fringe top 10, if like I said, if you pay him that way. But thank you, Muted Growl. My old Slitbone says, Happy New Year, my man. Stand up playoffs. What a job Dable has done. As for the draft, I would take linebacker Simpson of Clemson. I got to do more research on the linebackers. I saw the kid from Iowa. I don't know how he's ranked as a pro prospect. I haven't done any research on him. I think his last name's Morgan. He impressed me, but I think he doesn't project to be the best athlete. I think he ran a 4.7. I did like a little bit of research on him, but he looks like a damn good football player. That was a guy that impressed me. I've seen some people project him to go in the second round. He's a guy I'll keep my eye on, but I haven't done a ton of research on the linebackers yet. Mets man, thank you very much. He says, you, Bad Dog, and myself need the round table when the playoff matchups are. I'll be doing a lot of content the week of the playoffs. I'll probably be live every night just because we're going to be so amped up. So I'll probably be live every night the week of the playoffs. So I'll have you guys on and so on and so forth. Mark, man, thank you very much, man. Tibbs strip sack in Washington changed everything. It really, I'm not going to say, I mean, we'll see how this year turns out. We very well may get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. Who knows? But I kind of agree with you that after that strip sack, it gave me like a different vibe about this team. I think it was Hefe that mentioned the Victor Cruz 99-yard touchdown, how that kind of catapulted that Super Bowl season. And again, I don't think we're going to Super Bowl. But I said to him after that, I'm like, it kind of like the Kayvon Thibodeau strip sack fumble. Like that, it almost gave us, like, at least it felt like as a fan, it almost gave us like an acceleration, like a boost. So yeah, that was a huge play. That was just a huge game in general. So yeah, good call by you. Let's see what we got. And Billy Lyons, what's going on, man? Chris, I'm so happy tonight. We've had to watch a lot of bad football together, from the DJ chant to the dominant offense to the LC pick 6. Felt like a dream. Go Big Blue. It was great. It was great. It was great. I don't know. There's no other words I could use to describe it. It was great. And I'm so happy for, not just Jones, Barkley, all the players on this team that have had to, Julian Love, Darnay Holmes, whoever, all the players on this team that have had to go through horrible times, for them now to get an opportunity to get to play in a playoff game in a year in which they work their asses off, right? It's incredible. It's been such a great year to be a fan of this New York Giants team, and definitely a season I won't forget. And a season where I think we're going to go a lot more good things to come in the future, because I think we got the coach. I'll tell you that right now. I think we got the coach, Billy. And Diego says, stand up. Danny Dimes is my quarterback. Let's go. He's my 2023 quarterback, and he's my 2024 quarterback. I'm giving him 2 years, personally. I want him to get 2 years. I want to see what he can become when he gets some help. I really do. He's my quarterback for the next couple of years. I want to see what he can become. G-Man says, do DJ haters say I told you so if DJ loses his first playoff game, or do they give him credit? Listen, if they do, I really don't care. At the end of the day, I've been steadfast in my opinion for 6 to 8 weeks. I've watched him. I've used my eyes. I'm like, yeah, I could roll with this guy for at least a couple more years and see what he could ultimately become. So if he has a bad playoff game, I really don't care. I know he's coming back. And he should be coming back. So I'm happy for him, and I think it's the right decision by the New York Giants. Joey G says, hey, Chris, I was there today, section 116, row 4, awesome. Great seats, man. I wish I was sitting as close as you. But I'm glad that you got to enjoy the game. I'm sure you – funny thing, I was actually – the kid sitting in front of me, he recognized me. The kid that was sitting diagonally from me. He goes, you're the entertainer. And then on the way out, when I'm driving out of the parking garage, the guy starts honking his horn. And he said, he has me roll down his window, and he says, Tana. So it was just cool to get acknowledged by some Giants fans. It was awesome. Will J says, I truly believe we could beat Minnesota. Kurt primetime record is not good. I don't care about the primetime record, but I do think we could beat Minnesota. We would be playing with house money since they are the higher seed. The primetime record means very little to me. For the same reason I talked about how it meant very little for me in terms of when people used it to bash Daniel Jones. I'm not going to really use that to bash Kirk Cousins. Now, with Kirk Cousins, I think there's a little bit more legitimacy because Kirk Cousins has been on good teams. Daniel Jones has not. And Daniel Jones is being paired up against very good teams. So there have been instances where Cousins has lost with better teams in the playoffs. So I think there's at least some legitimacy to it, but I'm not going to read too much into that. If the New York Giants are going to beat the Vikings, Daniel Jones is going to have to play like he did the first time around. And we're going to have to create some turnovers. And I think we're going to have to do a better job in terms of running the football against them. Michael says, Richie James, major improvement, stoked for him. Richie James played really well the last couple of weeks. Another guy that got a lot of heat, deserved. He fumbled 3 punts, and he had a key drop last week too. But he's played well. Hodgins, dude, Isaiah Hodgins he's going to be back. He's under contract for $870,000 next year. Right now, he's the best wide receiver on the team. They showed it on the scoreboard today. Isaiah Hodgins is the first wide receiver. You're going to hate me saying this name. The first pass catcher since Evan Ingram to have a touchdown in 4 to 5 games as a New York Giant. And him and Jones have really good chemistry. So he's been great. Russell Reed says, those who called Kayvon a bust didn't watch the games he played in. Since he returned from injury, he has progressed every game, started off doing the small things, and now he's making noise. He's been making noise all year. He just hasn't been showing up in the sacks sheet. But he's been making noise all year. And they've also been asking him to do a lot of things, more so than a lot of other edge rushers have to do. They haven't dropped back in coverage. So you can't just judge it based off of sacks. He's been impressive all year. He's gotten more impressive as the years progressed, and he's going to get even more impressive next year as he continues to grow as a football player. But I have no doubts about Kayvon Thibodeaux. He's going to be one of the best edge rushers in football. Christopher says, I am glad to finally let Jones throw more to start to change my opinion of Jones. At least come back next year. Good to hear that, Christopher. I'm happy you said that because I know, and you've been fair. You're not like one of these like Daniel Jones haters that that is not at least open to seeing what he could do. But you've been very outspoken that you want to move on from Daniel Jones. And I'm right where you are. I'm like, I want to see what he can do next year. I'm not saying let's dive head first and give him a 7-year deal. No, I want to see what he can do next year because I think he's earned that. I think he's played well. And I think he's got more potential than a lot of people think. Philip, man, thank you very much, man. No more. It is what it is for me. Let's blanking go. Let's go, Philip Hennings, man. Thank you so much for being here, man. And Jay says, Jones, offensive player, he's got to be. He had 4 touchdowns. Biggest game of his life. And again, I don't know all the stats, but He had the highest QBR in a single game of any quarterback all year in today's game. And people just say, oh, he only threw for 180 yards. He also rushed for 94. And we're not going to count that. Just like when people argue about his touchdown throws, he's got 7 rushing too. We're not going to count that. So he was great today. And in my book, he absolutely deserves Offensive Player of the Week, especially when you factor in the magnitude of the game. Well, let's see what we got. And Frank says, just want it on the record, but I've been a DJ supporter for 4 years. Hey, man, kudos to you, man. I'll be the first to say, I don't want to use the term hater. I don't ever think I was a DJ hater, but I was a guy that was, I was a wait and see. I wasn't like, I'm going to call this guy Danny Dimes. I'm not sold on the guy. He needs to prove it to me, but I was always open for him to prove it to me. And I think he showed flashes. I actually remember saying I thought he looked improved in his second and third year, even though the stats didn't indicate it, because I thought he looked like he was developing further in terms of his pre-snap reads and so on and so forth. This year, he's a completely different quarterback. In terms of his pocket awareness, in terms of his clutch, his big plays in the big spots. And obviously, a lot of that goes to Kafka and Dable. But if you're going to use that as a knock on Daniel Jones, that's just stupid. Every good quarterback in the league has good coaching. That goes hand in hand with good quarterback play. So to me, it's just he's finally getting a chance because now he has good coaching. So, hey, man, kudos to you, man, for sticking with him. He's been great this year. I'm so happy for him. And Allison, thank you for being a member. I've also been a huge Daniel Jones fan since 2019. Always drafted him in fantasy. He's on my fantasy team this year. I got a 2-quarterback league, but he starts for me. He's on my fantasy team. And he's actually done good in fantasy. I think he was ranked 12th. Tyler, thank you for being a member for 19 months. Stand up, playoff bound. Also, I like the guy from Iowa and one from Arkansas. I haven't looked at the guy from Arkansas. I did like the guy from Iowa. I haven't looked at the guy from Arkansas yet. I gotta look at, like I said, normally, like the last 5 years when I've been on YouTube, or 4 years, whatever it's been, normally you start looking at the draft prospects by now. And I've been watching a lot of college games, but normally you'd be looking heavier into the draft by now because the team was so bad. I'm just enjoying the regular season right now, so I'm not even focused on that. But I will look, obviously a lot more into it as, after the season's over. SB says that throw was made by Mahomes would be everywhere. That's true. And don't get it twisted. Mahomes makes throws like that routinely, but that was a great throw. Let's see what we got. True Apple says, best game I've had the pleasure of watching in person and happy to watch it with both my sons. That's awesome, man. I'm glad that you got to experience that. Hopefully next time we get to meet up. I got to meet up with so many great subscribers at the game, but hopefully next time we get to meet up, and I'm glad that you got to enjoy the game, True Apples. Jay says, I know it's early, but in free agency, I think we signed Tremaine Edmonds. Makes sense. Ties to Buffalo. We need a linebacker. A lot of people have brought him up. To man the middle linebacker, a decent center, and OBJ. Draft the cornerback in the first. OBJ is possible. I think it comes down to his market. I don't think Joe Schoen's going to give him like a 3-year deal, but maybe, I don't know. I can't speak for Joe Schoen. I don't know what he'll do, but he's at least possible. I think it'll depend on what, other teams are willing to give him, but I think we're going to sign somebody at the wide receiver position. I don't know if it'll be him. It depends on the market. Gennaro says, had a good time meeting you at the tailgate today. I had us winning 24-16. I had us winning 31-13, I think. Really exceeded my expectations. I felt 2011 vibes in the stadium today. It was a pleasure getting to meet you. Love talking football with you and everybody else. So thank you so much. And yeah, I mean, listen, how could you not be happy today? The Giants won by 28 points. And they probably should have won by more. I think they had 31 unanswered points. If I'm not mistaken, maybe it was 28 unanswered points. They actually scored the first 3 points. And I'm going to tell you what, I was a little nervous at the start of that game. I don't know about you guys. I was a little nervous at the way that game started because I'm sitting there and the Colts get the first 3 points. Jones, as great as he was today, the first 2 out of his first 5 or 6 throws, I was like, ooh. He threw 2 balls that I was like, ooh, I don't know. So I was starting to get a little nervous. But then everything cooled down. The play calling was fantastic. The Giants were 4 of 7 on third down. They only had 7 third downs all day. That's crazy. So they were picking up the sticks all day before they even got the third down. 4 or 5 from within the red zone. It was great. It was great, man. Absolutely great. Brady says a lot of people were passing gas in front of you. No, I didn't see that Pat Leonard predicted the right score. No, I didn't. The one constant this year has been DJ. Even in our losses, he's been good. Last 2 years, he has been the cause for some of our losses, not this year. Dude, everybody wanted consistency. That's what everybody said at the beginning of the year. You can't be much more consistent than he's been. I mean, come on. He's been consistent. So, yeah, and he's gotten better in a lot of areas that I talked about, specifically the pocket awareness more than anything else. So he's been great. The other thing, he's still not where I need him to be. There's times where like I get pissed off where he takes a hit I don't think he should be taking, but he's gotten better in terms of the sliding. You saw it today. He broke off a big run. He was able to have the smarts to slide rather than trying to pick up an extra 6-7 yards. I don't need you taking more shots to your ribs, Daniel. I'd like to see him get a little bit better at that, but he has gotten better at that as well. Edward, man, he says, so what do we do with Golladay? What do we do with Golladay? What do we do with Golladay? I would say, Edward, I have a better chance to be catching passes from Daniel Jones next year than Kenny Golladay because that wouldn't cost anything. What are we going to do with Golladay? Galladay's going to be cut. The first opportunity the New York Giants have to cut Kenny Golladay, see ya. Now, they may cut him after June 1st to kind of split up the cap hit to pay for the draft class this year. But Kenny Galladay's gone. Kenny Galladay's been horrible. He's gone. Let's see what we got. Fabian says, Tana, when's your meet and greet, Mr. I'd love to do a bar meetup. I know like a lot of people can't go to the games and stuff. People have talked about that before. I'd love to do that in the future. It's just it's just hard to get like a central location, right? Because people are from all over, Jersey, New York. Maybe I do like a bar meetup in like the city, maybe in the future, next year. Because obviously I'm gonna do the play-by-play for the playoff game. But maybe I'll do that. Maybe we'll do a game next year where we meet up at a bar. I think that'd be cool, like for a road game or something. Let's see what we got. Danny Thomas's thoughts on Trenton Simpson, Clemson. He's considered the best coverage linebacker in the draft. Thoughts on drafting him in the first round. I actually watched the Clemson game, and they were talking about him. Again, I haven't done a ton of research on him, but I watched the Clemson game. Who'd they play? I watched their bowl game. I don't even know if he played in that game, but they were talking about him because a lot of guys sat out for the bowl game. But I haven't looked into him too much, but they were raving about him. So listen, if you could find a really good coverage linebacker, I'm all about it. Tennessee, that's who it was. Yeah. That was a pretty good game, at least from what I saw. That was actually the night that I did the stream with Bad Dog. But they were talking a lot about him. Listen, we need a linebacker. How was the game, Chris? Loud? Yeah, very loud. Very loud. Let's see what we got. Kobe says, hi, Chris. As a DJ hater, I'm a DJ hater, but he's making me change my mind. Stand up, New York Giants. You know what's cool? I don't know if you guys got an opportunity to see this. A lot of you guys probably don't have Twitter, so you wouldn't see it. But I had a lot of people like at me on this. You guys let me know in the chat if you think this is a coincidence or you think they did this because they know who I am. I don't know. This is what the New York Giants tweeted out today after the New York Giants won. Maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know. Let me share it. So that's what the New York Giants tweeted out from the official Giants account. Giants fans, stand up. I don't know. That was great to see Brian Dable's reaction, by the way. It was great. Let me see what the chat thinks. Nona says maybe. Andrew Smith says stand up. You should have trademarked it. Yeah, I should have, Gary. Ms. Riley, man, what's going on, man? What's going on, Michael Hahn, man? Thanks for popping in. Yep, it was very loud, and I was sitting high up, and there was 2 fights. Really, there were no fights by me. What's up, Chris? Let's go, G-Man. What's going on there? Any music live? What's going on, Juice? Probably not, but it's cool. Yeah, I don't know, but it's cool if it is. What's up there, Joey, man? Thanks for popping in. Lorenzo says they definitely taking notes, Chris. What's going on, Lorenzo? Sue them for copyright, Tana. I'm going to sue the Giants and ruin their payroll for stealing my tagline. Next year, they won't be able to give out medium Pepsis. They'll have to give out like extra smalls because I'm going to sue them for taking my tagline. G-Man26 says, should we throw more wide receiver screens or running back screens? Your thoughts and Happy New Year's. In the future, yes. I think the reason they don't do that is because they generally don't really work when we try them. More often than not, I think a lot of it has to do with the blocking scheme and everything else. But in the future, yeah, I think we will. I think we will incorporate a quick passing game more than we have this year in the future when we get the right weapons, the right wide receivers, and as the blocking progresses. But yeah, we don't run screens that often. But when we do, it generally doesn't work. Every once in a while it does, but it generally doesn't work. But in the future, yeah, I think we need to. And I'd like to get Saquon Barkley, rather, a lot more involved in the passing game next year. This year, I think it's been limited because of, like I just said, the blocking. Dustin says, I feel like Jones is getting more league respect. Finally got a flag on the late hit. I actually mentioned that while I was at the game. I turned to the guy next to me. I'm like, he never gets those calls. I mentioned that. He never gets those calls. So that was, yeah, you're absolutely right. It was great to see that call. And yeah, I think he is getting more respect. You're starting to hear people from around the league, whether it be people in the New York media, whether it be people from outside the New York media, say, listen, this guy's a pretty good quarterback. So I agree with that. Patrick says, Richie James from outhouse to penthouse. He had a really good game today. Hopefully he can keep it up. We're going to need him for the playoffs. Jabari, what's going on, man? Bro, how does Gettleman look now? DJ is my quarterback. Listen, still not good. And I was as fair to Gettleman as I could possibly be. But what I'll say about Gettleman, if Daniel Jones works out, and if Dexter Lawrence works out, which he's going to, and if Saquon Barkley works out, and a lot of these guys work out, he's still going to be regarded as a bad GM for a lot of the things that he did, the coaches he hired, the contracts he put forth, a lot of the free agents that he signed, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, if Daniel Jones becomes a franchise quarterback, Dave Gettleman's going to get some credit. If this team, has success, he would have drafted the left tackle and the quarterback, the two most important positions on an offense. So he'll be looked at better, which is still not great, than he was if this team, continues to progress and get better with some of the players that Joe Schoen inherited. That's what I'll say, but still not great. But the Daniel Jones pick looks better. I'll tell you that. But Jabari, man, thank you very much. And Manny says, side note, Eagles draft pick hurt by Saints win. Yes, I was actually talking to somebody at the game about that as well. It was like a double whammy, right? Because the Eagles lose and it affected their draft pick, which is great. And I would like nothing more than to knock the Eagles out. Knock them out of the division. Take away the home field advantage. Let Jalen Hurts go up against Tom Brady round 1. Let Jalen Hurts, if he wins that game, go up against the 49ers round 2 in San Francisco. Would love to see it. Or the Dallas Cowboys, I think would be. Knock them off. Would love to see that this week. That'd be great. And I know we're playing our starters, and I think we should. And Jason says, that's why it's important to give younger players time to develop. DJ and Dexter are prime examples. I guess Gettleman knew a little bit about talent. See, the issue with me with Gettleman was never his talent evaluation. Overall, I thought he drafted okay. His biggest issue for me was 2021. I didn't love everything he did, but you're never going to love everything a general manager does before 2021. 2018 was a disaster. I always pin that more on Mara than Gettleman himself. But that was a disaster because they tried to do two things at once and it just blew up in their faces. But he was a decent talent evaluator. That's what he was known for. He was a really good scout. But it was everything else. It was the contracts, the free agents, and 2021 was just a mess. They didn't address the offensive line. They lost their best offensive lineman, and they just completely neglected the position. And then the Kenny Golladay signing and so on and so forth. But in terms of a talent evaluator, he was decent. He was pretty good. I mean, Julian Love looks like a really good pick now, too. So he had some hits, but let's see what we got. Let's see. But listen, he's going to be looked at more favorably. Some people are going to have to give him some credit if Daniel Jones turns out to be really successful with Andrew Thomas and everything else, and Dexter Lawrence. 2K says, every time DJ runs and he takes hits, I get scared. Yeah, same thing, but he's gotten better at it. He's gotten down. He's gotten better, but he still took a couple hits. I mean, when you run as frequently as he does, he had, I think, 11 carries today. You're bound to take a couple of hits, but I get nervous too, man. You never like seeing your quarterback get hit. And Eric Paul says, Daniel Jones is doing his Steve Young. He looked like Steve Young today. I'm not going that far. Steve Young, to me, is one of the top 10 quarterbacks of all time, but he looked like Steve Young today. He looked great today. Grim says, we sit starters this week. I'm in favor of yes. I would love to knock Philly out as the number 1 seed, but the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Get healthy. Listen, if they sit him, I'm going to understand it. If they start him, I'm going to understand it. I personally would start him. Daboll's already said, I think, I didn't get to hear the quote, but people told me he's going to start them. But that doesn't mean they're going to play the whole game. Maybe they'll play 2 quarters, 3 quarters. Who knows? But I'm completely for starting them. If something happens, it happens. But I'm completely for starting them this week. And I gave my reason earlier as to why. But yeah. But I won't scream if they sit him. But I would start him. Dean, man, thank you very much, man. Thoughts on bringing Hodgins back next year? He's going to be back. He's under contract. He's only $870,000 against the cap next year. So he's going to be back. He's already under contract. So thank God for that. Sticky Finger says, I don't think we need a coverage linebacker with Collins on the 53. We need a traditional Mike. I think we need both in an ideal world. Like, the more coverage, the better. But I think we need an athletic traditional Mike. I don't want like an old school, run stuff like Blake Martinez for me. And I like Blake, but I want a guy that's a little more agile than him. But yes, I agree. We need a traditional Mike, but somebody that's a bit more athletic, more of a modern day linebacker. But ideally you want the whole package. But yeah, we definitely need a guy in the middle. No doubt about it. The vacancy of Blake Martinez has really shown the last couple of years of the linebacker position. DQ says you should react to the game highlights on YouTube. Yeah, I actually, in the future, next year, I'm probably going to do that. Next year, I think DQ, I was talking to somebody at the game today. And I think next year I'm going to have somebody clip my reactions over the highlights with Bad Dog. And yeah, I think that'd be cool. So that's next year I'm going to do that. Adam, man, thank you very much. I noticed the stand-up out there getting traction. Write more stuff, I guess. LOL. You picked a good game to attend. It was great. Best game I've been. Actually, that's the best Giants game I've ever been to. Yeah, best Giants game I've ever been to. And I've been a good luck Charmers of late. In the past, I have not been. They used to lose almost every time I would go. They've won the last 3 times I've went. They won last year when I went to the Eagles game. They won the Texans game this year, and they won the Colts game. So they're 3-0 in my last 3 games that I went to. Daniel says, medium soda on me. Stand up playoffs, baby. Let's go. Let's go, man. And Will says, to think some people want to tire. Oh, God. Don't even get me started on that, Will. I'm going to tell you this right now. If Tyrod Taylor, let me ask the chat this. I'm curious to just get the overall opinion of the people in the chat. If Tyrod Taylor was the New York Giants starting quarterback this year, from start to finish, how many wins do you think the New York Giants have? I'm going to write down my number so I'm not looking at the chat to cheat. Let me get a piece of paper. How many wins do you think they have if Tyrod Taylor is a starter from the beginning of the year? I'm getting 5s. I'm getting 8s. 7s. That's my number. I think we got 3 wins if Tyrod Taylor is the quarterback of this football team this year. 3 wins. 3 wins. No way we have 8. No way. A huge reason that we're winning games is because Dan Jones doesn't turn the football over. That's probably the biggest reason. There's no way Tyrod Taylor is going to turn the ball over as infrequently as Daniel Jones did this year. There's no chance. No chance. I'm going to go with 3. Let's see what we got. Raphael says, I know LT got the crowd. Oh, that was awesome. Seeing Lawrence Taylor coming out of the tunnel was great. Dharma says, I know Sexy Dexy quads all pro. Anyone else? I don't know if they're going to get all pro. They're going to the Pro Bowl. They haven't announced the all pros. I think they announced that at the end of the year. So they may or may not. They'll get consideration. I don't think Barkley will get all pro. Dex might. Andrew Thomas might. I don't think Barkley will get all pro. But he made the Pro Bowl. Ruben, man, thank you very much, man. Glad to see Bellinger a bit involved. Yeah, he had 2 crucial catches. I don't know how many catches he had, but I know he had 2 crucial catches. I think they were both on the same drive. Both were pretty long. I think one was over 20 yards. So, yeah, it was good to see him get more involved in the passing game today, for sure. Want to see that more going forward. Jay says, hear me out. I think Hodgins can be a poor man's Amani Toomer. I said the same thing today. a poor man's, but I said the same thing today. I said he kind of reminds me of Amani Toomer. Not nearly as good, but he has transformed our offense. DJ has a lot of confidence and chemistry with him. I don't think he's I'm not going to go as far to say that I think he's a starting wide receiver. I think he's a 4 on a good wide receiving core. He's a starter for us. I think he's a 4 on a very good core. But I want him back next year. And I think he could be a vital part of this offense. I think the Giants are going to want to run 4 or 5 wide sets. So, yeah, I think he's a good receiver. I want him back. I'm not going to say – I don't want him to be the 1 or the 2, though. I'd prefer him to be a 4. Gabe says, what are you doing to this wide receiver room this offseason? Hodgins and Slay are not under contract. I thought Hodgins is. Let me confirm this because I looked this up the other day. Isaiah Hodgins. Yeah, he's under contract next year. $870,000 against the cap in 2023. So Hodgins is under contract. So he's coming back. Wan'Dale's coming back. And maybe you bring back Shepard on like a vet min, kind of like what Slayton was getting paid this year. Who knows? As like a 6 wide receiver, whatever. Outside of that, I think we're scrapping it. Maybe bring back Richie James, but he's not going to be a starter if you bring him back. I don't think we're going to bring back Slayton. I think his market's going to be higher than it should be. I think we're going to let him walk, maybe get a comp pick. So I think it'll be Hodgins, Richie James. In terms of your high impact wide receivers next year, not Richie James, rather, Wan'Dale Robinson. I think it'll be Wan'Dale, Hodgins, and then you're going to add 2 wide receivers to your starting core. And I think one's either going to be a trade or free agency, and the other one's going to be in the draft. That's what I think they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to trade for a receiver or they're going to sign one, but the free agency class is very thin. So they may look to trade for one. Maybe they sign Beckham. I don't know. But I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to add 2 starters to that wide receiving core in the offseason. One via free agency or trade, the other in the draft. And they may draft another wide receiver as well, but that's what I think they're going to do. Let's see. Let's see. Henry says, I might be wrong, but we haven't lost to an AFC team. Let me go over the schedule. We beat the Ravens. We played the AFC South. We beat the Texans. We beat the Titans. We beat the Jaguars. And who am I forgetting in that division? Texans. Oh, the Colts. Yeah. So we beat the AFC South. Yeah, you're right. We beat all 5 AFC teams we played. So yes, we're 5-0 against the AFC. Yep. You're not wrong. Yeah. And our losses this year, we have the tie against Washington, so that's not a loss. 2 to Dallas, 1 to Philadelphia, who are obviously very good teams. They're both competing to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. We lost to the Lions when the Lions were really hot. Not nearly as bad of a loss as it appeared when we lost to them. And that was a game we could have won. We kind of gave that game away late in the game, but regardless, we lost. And we couldn't establish the ground attack in that game. The Vikings game we should have won. So that's 5 of our losses. I think we outplayed Minnesota on short rest, and that's a good football team. And what's our other loss? I'm forgetting off the top of my head. We lost to who else did we lose to? Somebody in the chat, let me know. I know I'm forgetting somebody. Who do we lose to? Who am I forgetting? Guys, let me know in the chat. Seahawks. Right. Seahawks. Which was a disappointing loss. We should have beat the Seahawks. The Seahawks game, I felt like we let get away. I think we should have beat them, but we haven't had that many bad losses. This year. We just haven't. Now we've played bad, but when I say bad loss, I mean teams like it's like we shouldn't have lost to. Like it's shocking that we lost them. We didn't really have any or many. And we've had some impressive wins. And Toasties, if you're a good luck charm, Giants need to fly you out. Let's go. Let's go, man. And Stephanie, thank you so much. Who could compete with Dable for Coach of the Year thoughts? I mean Sirianni, but the Eagles are starting to fall off a little bit. I'm good to see Cop Pizzle in the chat, by the way. Says, how about Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones, a beast. Daniel Jones, a beast. I think Campbell deserves consideration, but the Lions have kind of fallen off recently. They're 8-8 though, so I think Campbell deserves consideration along with Dable because the Lions started out 1-6, so he's got them going in the right way. They're kind of a similar team to the Giants in terms of the process. I would have Dable above him, but I think he deserves consideration. Sirianni, like I said, nobody in the South. He kind of goes overlooked because they have such a good team. But I think Shanahan deserves some consideration. They're on their third string quarterback, and they're 12-4. So I think Shanahan deserves some consideration as well. He may not get it because it generally goes to a team that was unexpected to be good, but I think he deserves some potential. I wouldn't say anybody in the AFC West. You could maybe argue Peterson with the Jaguars because they started off so bad and now they're 8-8. They're finishing the year hot. Maybe you could argue he should be in the discussion. I'm not going to say anybody from the North. If I had to pick the candidates right now, I think the Jets fell off too much. So I don't think he's in the running anymore. If I had to pick the candidates right now, I think Peterson would be up there for me. Dable, Sirianni. I guess as much as I hate to say it, and as much as I don't think he's a great coach, I think you got to put McCarthy in the mix. They're 12-4. Dak Prescott missed time. So he's probably in the mix. Campbell. And like I said, I think Shanahan deserves some consideration. Along with Pete Carroll, by the way, with the Seahawks. Because I thought they were going to be a complete tank job this year. They're 8-8. So those are some names that throw out there. But I think Dable needs to get heavy consideration. And he would be my pick. Let's see what we got. Had the Seahawks not fallen off, because they I think they've lost like 5 out of 7. I think Pete Carroll might have won it, but they did. Blue Monkey says, Giants versus Vikings, we almost got the matchup. And I think we could beat them. I really do. I think we could beat the Vikings. I would favor them. They're at home. They're the more developed team. But I give us at least a 40% chance to beat them. I think we got a shot to beat them, for real. That's going to be a fun game to watch. And it looks like that's what we're going to get. Let's see what we got. Have you noticed Kayvon being held? Dude, is the Pope Catholic? Kayvon's been getting held all year, man. All year. And the referees don't blow the whistle. To the point where when we do the live streams, we were ecstatic when they call a holding penalty. He's been getting held all year. It's ridiculous. But we got over 1,500 people in here. Thank you guys for all the support. I know you guys are excited. You want to tune in, talk Giants after a day like today. But thank you guys for all the support you guys always show on the channel. Happy for all you guys today. Matt of Mine says 3 is disrespectful. Tyrod took a less talented team to the playoffs. Go Giants. Minnesota, be afraid. No, I don't think it's disrespectful. I really don't. Maybe 4. Tyrod Taylor is 5 years older. He's not the same quarterback he was. I don't think it's disrespectful. He's a backup quarterback. And people came at me on Twitter when I said, I think it was like 3 or 4 days ago, the topic of Daniel Jones being the MVP came up, which I do not think he's the MVP. But I said I think he's the MVP of the Giants. And everybody's opinion of MVP may differ. People said Andrew Thomas. People said Saquon Barkley. People said Dexter Lawrence. My definition of an MVP, Matt in mind, and everybody in the chat, is the win discrepancy if the player goes down with an injury. People say Andrew Thomas may have made a bigger difference in terms of the win discrepancy. Andrew Thomas last year played every game where Daniel Jones went out. Our record was 0-6 when Daniel Jones didn't play last year. 0-6. We won 2 out of our last 3 games before he got hurt. One of which was against Jalen Hurts. The other was against Derek Carr. Both those teams made the playoffs. So that is why Daniel Jones is my MVP. I think he means the most in terms of the wins and losses. I think Andrew Thomas is a better football player, but I think Daniel Jones is the MVP of this football team. And I do think he makes a 4-win difference over Tyrod Taylor, at least. But thank you. Let's see what we got. The Dayman says, my favorite play of the day was Dexter Lawrence absolutely blowing up Quentin Nelson for the sack. He's a monster. I was dancing with him in the stands. I don't even know how to do it. I got to study it. I told you guys I would do it. I was doing the Dexy dance in the stands. I love it, man. Whenever he gets a sack, I get so excited because I love the dance. But Dexter Lawrence has been the defensive MVP for this team all year. And let's see what we got. Jai, good to see you. I hope you're feeling better. Sorry I'm late. Had a liquor nap. I've been watching you for 2 years. So glad us Giants fans can have the moment. Playoff stream will be insane. I can't wait for that, Jai. I can't wait for playoff week. Like I said, I'm going to be live all week leading up into that. Because I know you guys are going to be excited. I'll have some of you guys come on the channel, talk about the game, have different creators come on. So I can't wait for that. I'm going to have that on my mind all week. I know you told me you weren't feeling good on Twitter, so I hope you're feeling better. But yeah, and I'm excited to start calling the Knicks games after the season. I know you tune into the Knicks stream, so I'm excited to start doing that after the season as well. Joshua, what's going on, man? He says Rivera didn't know the commies could be eliminated. What do you mean? He was asked that today? How could you not know that? Well, Dable probably wouldn't know either, to be honest with you. When you hear him talk about it at the end of games, he probably would, but he makes it seem like he doesn't know what's going on in the stand. He's just so focused on that week's games. I can't wait to hear what Ron Rivera had to say. I think Ron Rivera is going to get fired, by the way. And I know Washington had a nice resurgence midseason this year, and I do think Ron Rivera is a pretty good coach, but I think he's going to get fired because it's a golden opportunity right now if you're Washington to try to attract a good head coach outside of them having a horrible owner. But they have a lot of good pieces there, and they have the free reign to draft a quarterback. So I think they're going to move off for Ron Rivera. I think they're going to hire a head coach at the end of the year. Mike Nixon says, I thought that was you doing the sexy Dexy dance. And Jason says, don't know if anyone had mentioned it since I left the chat for a minute, but that Dexter bull rush on Nelson attack. Yeah, somebody just mentioned it, actually. So, sorry. Yeah. But, yeah, he's been doing that all year. So, that does – I think – what is that, like his 8th sack? He's been doing that all year. The growth in him as a player, and I think that comes down to coaching more than anything else, because the Giants said from day one, Wink said from day one, we're going to put you in a position to succeed. And the unsung hero for Dexter Lawrence that doesn't get talked about enough is our defensive line coach. I can't remember his name, but the guy we got from the Vikings. You look at his history as a defensive line coach. Before the year started, I talked about it when we hired him. Look at all the great interior defensive linemen that he coached. So, and they all said they loved playing for him. Guys went back to Minnesota to play for him. So I think he has a lot to do with Dexter Lawrence's success as well. Andre Patterson, that's it. I think he has a lot to do with it too. But I think the Giants identified what he's best at and left him there. They haven't played in the interior, and he's been great because of it. You said hello to him today? Chris has to go to every game now. Maybe he does. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either way, as far as Ron Rivera goes. Wouldn't be surprised either way. But I would not be surprised at all if he's fired. Kingsbury's clearly going to be fired. I'm trying to think of the other guys that are, I mean, obviously Carolina's going to be looking for a coach. There's going to be plenty of coaching vacancies at the end of the year. I could see the G-Men winning the Super Bowl in 2024. Let's get there first. Well, I could. Yeah, I could. That's 2 years. That's 2 years of building. Yeah, I definitely could. I'm not saying they're going to, but yes, it's certainly possible. I wouldn't even rule it out for next year, depending on what they do in the offseason. I wouldn't rule it out in terms of being a contender for a Super Bowl. The NFC's weak, right? So I wouldn't rule it out. Let's see what we got. Gettleman got a lot of heat for trading for Leonard Williams. Well, not that bad of a trade. And neither was the Beckham trade. Online Big Blue punching air right now. Well, it's not just him. It's probably about 15 to 20% of this New York Giants fan base are punching air right now. But I don't know what, either at this point, people that are still fighting it, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, they're either too stubborn and they just want to be proven right, or they just hate the guy. Because at this point, it's fairly obvious to me he should be back next year and he will be back next year. But I don't know. I guess we'll keep debating about it until March or February or when Daniel Jones signs the contract. What's up, Tate? What's going on, Abraham? Man, thanks for popping in. I would agree, Bill. You always have a chance. We're going to have a better chance in the future as we build up the roster, but you always have a chance. Chris, I'm glad we weren't one of these teams that collapsed like the Jets and Dolphins. Yeah, of course. We're going to be in the playoffs. Of course he's back. DJ and Saquon getting 3-year minimum. Haters going to get over it. I agree. They're both going to be back. In terms of the contract, I'm not sure. I think Jones will be what you just said, 3 years. Barkley, it's going to come down to what his salary demands are, but he's definitely going to be back, whether it be a franchise tag or a 3 or 4 year contract. But I think both of them will be playing for the Giants in 2023. And Jones will not be a franchise tag. I think Jones will be a legitimate contract. Barkley could be a tag, could be a 3 or 4 year deal. Depends on the negotiations. What's up, Craig? Man, good to see you, man. Says tag Barkley. That may be what I think they're going to ultimately tag Barkley. I think the goal is not going to be to have Barkley play on the tag, but I think they're going to tag Barkley to use it as a tool to limit his potential suitors to try to get him for a contract that they think fits what they're looking for. But I think they want to give Barkley a real contract. I don't think they want him playing on the tag, but I think they'll tag him so they get exclusive rights to him and they get an opportunity to talk to him and negotiate. And maybe they come to a fair conclusion in the middle. Maybe it's 3 years, 36, instead of he's probably going to be looking for 4 years, 56. Maybe they're able to come to some kind of fair agreement where both sides are happy. But I think they'll initially tag him. If I had to guess, that's what I think is going to happen. I think Jones is more important to keep than Barkley. You want them both, though. I agree, and this is coming from the biggest Saquon Barkley fan in the world. Quarterback's just a much more important position. But I want both back. I want both back. Like, I think about how good or how much better this offense could be next year if you have Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley back in this offense and you bring a legitimate threat on the outside. When you have the dynamic of Barkley in the backfield with Daniel Jones' legs, and now all of a sudden the defense has to pay real attention to a separator at the wide receiver position, that's going to make everybody in the offense that much better. Daniel Jones' legs are going to be lethal when you have the threat of Saquon Barkley, and suddenly you got a legitimate number one on the outside. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And this offensive line is going to improve with Evan Neal. So it opens up the whole offense. So what it did for the Eagles this year, it'll open up the whole offense. So I hope they're both back. Xavier looked pretty good. He dropped. It was hard. It was hard to see from where I was sitting if he dropped it. You guys got a better look on the TV. It was hard to see from where I was if he dropped it. Of course, he had the knob on or whatever it is on his hand, so it's hard for him to catch the balls. He had one ball that looked like he had a chance to intercept. But yeah, he looked pretty good from where I was sitting. He looked pretty good. He looked pretty active throughout the game. And Sean says, I heard John Schmelk say that success is linear. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Giants take a step back next year. What do you think? I think it's possible if they take a step back in terms of their record because they're going to play a more challenging schedule. More than likely, we don't know that. But I don't think it's going to be that big of a step. If we do have a step back, like say we win 8 games, I don't think it's going to be that big of a step for the simple reason I think Brian Daboll's for real. And I think when you have a really good head coach, you're going to find a way to win games. We've seen it this year. You're going to find a way to win close games. Your team's going to execute. So I think we'll still be a competitive team next year. Now, we may not take the jump that some fans may be thinking because of the increased, level of play. But I think we'll still win 8 games next year at a minimum. I don't think we're going to fall down like 4 wins or 5 wins like the Raiders did this year. No. I believe in Daboll, and I think the players on this team are only going to get better because they're more acclimated to the offense and defense. They're young, they're improving. So, no, I think we're going to be fairly consistent. I think a lot of people have said that about the Titans for years. And every year the Titans win 10 games, 11 games, 12 games because not this year, but most years because of Mike Vrabel, because they got a really good head coach. So, I don't think we'll fall off too much next year. I really don't. And if any, and I definitely am open to the possibility that we will improve next year in terms of our record. I would actually say I think it's like Sean, if you told me what's more realistic next year, the Giants have a 2-win jump or 2-loss jump, I'd actually probably lean towards the 2-win jump. Depending on what we do in the offseason. But if they do what I think they're going to do, but I wouldn't be surprised if they win 8 games against a more challenging schedule next year. Wouldn't be surprised. Irish Rover says, Chris, since I've been watching your channel, there has been a person who has never given up on DJ. I salute the amazing guy. Playoffs, baby. Hey, man, listen, I credit everybody. I'll be the first to say, man, I didn't blindly support Daniel Jones. I wanted evidence. I wanted growth, but I never turned my back on him either. I'm willing to give him the opportunity to grow as a player. But anybody that stuck with this guy from the beginning, said he was going to be the guy, kudos to you. You guys deserve it, man. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy, man, that I look like a fool on draft night. You know, I say it all the time. I'd much rather look like a fool and him work out to be one of the best players in football than look brilliant, right? So I'm so happy he's playing the way that he is, and I hope he continues to improve as a quarterback, and I think he will. John says, what do you think about the YouTube TV getting Sunday ticket? Do you think YouTube might not allow you to announce the games next year? I have no idea how that's going to work. That's a great question. I would think they will, but I don't know that. But I would think they will because I'm not showing anything. I'm just doing the play-by-play. But that's a good question. Hopefully that won't be the case because obviously a lot of you guys love that. So hopefully that won't be the case. But yeah, I mean, I was hoping when I heard it, but then Bad Dog said they won't do that because you have to pay for the service. But I was hoping when I found out that YouTube got the streaming services rights to the NFL that they would allow us to show the game as we were doing the play-by-play, but that's not going to happen. But I'm hoping that won't be the case. Will says, what's the ideal playoff scenario? It's not the most impossible thing to end up in the NFC Championship game. You get hot, right? You could beat anyone. No, it's not impossible. Anything can happen. That's why they play the games. The ideal is obviously the Vikings for me. I mean, some people may argue the 49ers because of Purdy, but I just think the 49ers we match up really bad against them. They have a really good defense. They have a really good offensive line. They have weapons all over, and they got a great head coach. I would much rather play the Vikings, and it looks like that's who we're going to get. And if we were to beat Minnesota at that point, we're going to play the number 1 seed, which is probably going to be the Eagles. That's probably who we'll get in the second round. Now, if we beat the Eagles this week, it'll be the Cowboys more than likely, but we'll see. We'll see what happens the last week of the season. Chris B says, I miss seeing Jake Fromm and Joe Judge on the sideline as a Cowboys fan. But seriously, congrats to the playoffs, and please play your starters and beat Philly. We're going to try our best, Chris. We're going to try our best to help you guys out. Now, what I hope you guys do is, what I hope happens, this is what I hope happens as a Giants fan. No disrespect to you, Chris. This would be ideal for me. We beat the Eagles. You guys lose to Washington. And then San Francisco gets the number 1 seed. Okay? Yeah, then San Francisco gets the 1 seed. The Eagles get the 2 seed. So the Eagles don't get home field advantage throughout. They don't get the bye, and the Cowboys still get the 5 seed. So that's what I'm rooting for. We knock off the Eagles so they don't get home field advantage. They don't get the bye. You guys get the 5 seed. Neither one of you guys get the bye or home field advantage throughout, and the 49ers get the number 1 seed. If that's possible, I don't know if it is, but if that's possible, that's what I'm hoping happens. Let's see what we got. Noah says, yo, I'm so hyped. I wanted no part of Jones entering this season, but now that's my mother blanking quarterback. Glad I've been wrong. I mean, you should be. Everybody should be glad that they were wrong. Yeah, all right, listen, Noah, I've seen you support him. But, yeah, man, I'm thrilled for him. I'm thrilled for the Giants, and I think this team's headed down the right path because when you got a good head coach and you got a good quarterback, things could develop really quick, and I think we got both of those. Dominic says, my favorite play from today, watching Sexy Dexy straight up bully Nelson. I know I absolutely was, Dominic. I absolutely broke in a dance when he did that. But, yeah, dude, Dexter Lawrence is a monster. And Jaded says, DJ has solidified himself as a top 10 quarterback. Chris had a stroke when we drafted DJ, and he wanted the linebacker Josh Allen, who was not in the same league as DJ. King, yeah, you're right. I did. I made a mistake. It happens. Yeah, I did. I didn't want Daniel Jones on draft night. I would have been fine with him at 17, not at 6. Crucify me. I don't know what to tell you. Like 95% of Giants fans. No, I didn't want him at 6. I'm happy we took him. He's playing well. In terms of DJ being a top 10 quarterback, I've gone over this list several times. People that look at your stats are going to disagree, but let's go over it. Josh Allen better. He's better than Mac Jones. I think he's at least as good as Tua. I know Tua's got the stats, so it's impossible not to say Tua's better from most people's standards because he's having a great statistical year. I don't know. Is it that crazy? Is it that crazy to say he's at least as good as Tua? The Dolphins are 8-8. They've been banged up. He's been banged up. He's got the two best wide receivers in football to throw to. From a talent perspective, I think Jones is at least as good as Tua, personally. He's better than anybody on the Jets. Burrow's better. Lamar Jackson, as of now, is still better. He's better than anybody on the Steelers. I'll still go Watson above him, even though Watson hasn't been great thus far. Trevor Lawrence above him. He's better than Tannehill. He's better than anybody on the Colts. He's better than anybody on the Texans. Mahomes is better. Herbert's better. I think he's better than Carr. He's better than Russell Wilson. You've got to say Hurts right now is 8. Dak is close. Dak's having a horrible year. Horrible year. And he's got a great supporting cast. I'll go Dak still. That's 9. He's better than anybody on Washington. I don't know if he's top 10, but he's at least entering that conversation, which is all I care about. And next year, if he gets some help, he could easily be top 10. Easily. Let's see what we got. Jackson says, 4th place to 3rd place schedule is not a huge jump. Plus Kayvon, Neal, Wandell, Bellinger, and next year's rookies all going to get better. I'm not worried. Yeah, we play a harder division, though, right? We play the AFC West or the NFC West. We play one of the West divisions. We're playing harder divisions. I think that's what people mean when they say we're going to be playing a harder schedule. But you can't project. I think we're playing the West, the NFC West. But you can't project how these teams are going to look. And we're playing the AFC East, and the East looks good, right? Because the Dolphins look pretty good. The Bills are really good. The Jets have potential depending on who they get at quarterback. But the NFC West, you can't predict. I mean, the Cardinals look like a mess right now, right? Especially if Kyler Murray's going to be out for the majority of next season. The 49ers are good. The Rams don't look great right now. I know they've had a lot of injuries this year. And the Seahawks could easily be a fluke this year. So you can't predict the schedule before the year starts. And I'll say another thing. Before the year started, there's a lot of teams on this year's schedule that turned out to be harder than I thought they would be. I didn't think Seattle was going to be a near playoff team. I didn't think the Lions were going to be a near playoff team. I didn't think Jacksonville was going to be a playoff team. So you can't predict the schedule before the year starts. You just can't. I didn't think the Eagles were going to have the best record in football. I didn't think the Cowboys were going to be 12-4. Dylan, man, thank you very much, man. Cowboys versus Giants in the divisional round would be a good matchup. I agree. I think we could at least keep it close against Dallas. Let's get there first. Matt says I could see the Packers upsetting the Niners with the way they look right now. Moment could be too big for Purdy. Imagine we got to play the Bucs round 2. We won't play the Bucs round 2. That's impossible, I think, right? Because the only way we could play the Bucs round 2, the 7 seed would have to beat the 2 seed. Otherwise, we can't play the Bucs round 2, I'm pretty sure. So yeah. That's not gonna happen. We're gonna play the Eagles round 2 if we win. If they get the 1 seed. Let's see what we got. Jason says, I think having a strong running back free agent class will work and change negotiations with Barkley. I like 26, but not overpay to keep him. Important offseason. I think we're going to bring Barkley back. But to the point that you just said, yeah, I think that's going to work against Barkley. I think it's the free agent running back class is stacked, and there's a lot of good running backs in this year's draft. I don't think he's getting a Christian McCaffrey contract. I just don't. And I don't think the Giants are going to allow that to happen because I think they'll tag him if they don't work out a deal before free agency starts. Because there's no way they're going to just let the guy walk. They're just not. I know some fans think they should, but that's not happening. So they're going to tag him, and then we'll see what comes from it. Chat if they don't work out a contract before that. Jackson, man, thank you very much, man. How was the energy at MetLife today? Dude, loud. It was awesome. I knew I had to go to that game. You know, I was like, I'm going to have to leave Bad Dog alone. I can't stream the game. But listen, biggest home game at MetLife Stadium since 2011. I would have been really upset if I didn't go to that game today. So I had to be there. Playoff atmosphere. Yeah, I mean, games like that don't come around every year. You know, because even when the Giants went on their Super Bowl runs, they were always on the road, right? We only played one home game during both Super Bowl runs combined. That was against Atlanta. First one was against but we played Green Bay twice on the road. We played the Bucs on the road the first time around, and we played the 49ers in the championship. So on the road. So we've very rarely have home playoff games. So this was essentially a playoff game. So it was great to go. It was a great atmosphere, super loud. People were banging seats the entire game. There were times throughout the game that people weren't standing up on third down. In my head, I'm like, come on. And Justin Tuck actually got the crowd into it. Justin Tuck was awesome. They put him on the mic, and he was yelling at the crowd to get into it. And immediately, everybody in the crowd just went crazy as soon as they put Justin Tuck on the mic when he was, during a stoppage at play. I think he said, Justin Tuck said something like that we're 11 minutes and 42 seconds away from going to the playoffs. Get the hell out of your seat. And everybody started going crazy, but the atmosphere was awesome. Lawrence Taylor coming out of the tunnel at the beginning of the game, incredible. I did not expect that, right? It was after the teams came out. They shot off the fireworks. They did the player introductions. They introduced Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley was the last player they introduced, and you thought they were all done. And then like 2 minutes later, out of nowhere, you start seeing fireworks go off, and Lawrence Taylor comes running out of the tunnel, and everybody went bananas. So the atmosphere was awesome. MVP says, please recreate the Daniel Jones draft night again. Nah, man. I don't think I will ever react that way again. I think I'm learning as a content creator, regardless of what the Giants do. I'm not always going to like the pick. But I'm going to give the pick an opportunity. You know, outside of Daniel Jones draft, I've liked for the majority of what they've done, like on draft night. I love the Andrew Thomas pick. I mean, I was screaming about taking a tackle for 3 months that year. So I love that pick. The trade down at the time, I liked it. I wanted Slater more. I didn't scream about it, but the guy I wanted was Rashawn Slater in that draft, and he fell to us. Obviously, hindsight, Micah Parsons would have been the better pick. But I didn't hate the trade down on draft night. Now I do. But we ended up getting Kayvon Thibodeau out of it, so not the end of the world, right? So the only flip out potential, I suppose, was the Daniel Jones pick, but I will never do that again. I can't say never. You never know, but I doubt it. Nick says, I was on the field and got to sit right outside of the tunnel where the players walked through security and said hi to every player. Quentin Nelson was pissed. Quentin Nelson, and that's awesome, Nick, but Quentin Nelson is real. I was talking to a Colts fan at the game today. Quentin Nelson, man, a lot of people have talked about him as a possibility for the New York Giants to sign him. The Colts fan said, don't do it. He has fallen off this year as a player. And yeah, he has not been the same. Even he came out. I heard it today on WFN on the way to the game. He even came out and said today, this year, he's been bad. So he may be damaged goods. He may not be the same player he once was. Heathen says, I bet that's the biggest thing, man. The Colts offensive line this year, it's the highest paid offensive line in football. They've had the reputation of being one of the best offensive lines in football for the last 3 or 4 years. This year, their offensive line has been horrible. And he has a lot to do with that in terms of his regression. Heathen says, I bet the teams that passed on Kayvon regret it now. Well, the Jets probably don't. Sauce has been great. But I'm happy we got Kayvon. Don't get it twisted. Aiden Hutchinson has been really good for the Detroit Lions. But, Trayvon Walker, I don't know about that one. With the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know about that one, Heathen. They probably would have rather had Kayvon Thibodeau. Let's see what we got. Jared. I'm from North Dakota and got to go to the Minnesota game. I really hope they play them again in 2 weeks. They're gonna, it looks like. I'll for sure be there. Also, always love DJ. That's awesome, man. I think you're going to get to go to that game because it looks like it's going to be in Minneapolis. It looks like it's going to be in Minnesota. So you should be happy as a Giants fan because I think we got a really good chance to knock them off. So, I'm so pumped up, man, after today, man. I already know, like, I'm actually pumped up for this Eagles game this week. Let me get the pulse of the chat for this game. And obviously, we're more looking forward to the playoffs. We're all focused heavily on the Minnesota game in the playoffs. But this Eagles game to me gets a little bit more juice because now you have the opportunity to, I think, build some confidence for the playoffs. You have the opportunity to knock the Eagles out from having home field advantage. And it's a game where I think we get to measure ourselves. Like, how much improved are we from the last time we played the Philadelphia Eagles? Because it seems like this is a much improved team over the last couple of weeks. How much improved are we? Can we go out there and at least compete with this football team? And we'll see if Jalen Hurts plays. I have to imagine he will if he's capable because they're playing for the number 1 seed. So I'm actually pretty amped up for this Eagles game. Not nearly as much as the playoff game, but I'm pretty amped up for the Eagles game. Love King Kayvon. Payback time, Rover says. Yeah. Rashawn Slater better. Oh, Rashawn Slater's awesome. So, yeah, I wanted him bad in that draft. No risk test. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, Robert. Yeah, much different offense. Congrats to a real team with a real coach. What's going on, MY Jets? Don't get down on your coach. I think Robert Saleh is a good coach. I think he's done a good job for you guys this year. Your quarterback situation's a joke. But I still think the Jets are actually in a good place. I think you guys are getting better, but you need a quarterback. Let me ask the Jets fan. I always like asking questions about the Giants to outside fans, because then you're not getting a biased perspective. They have, a Jets fan has no say with the New York Giants. Let me ask you, MY Jets FL. If Daniel Jones was your quarterback this year, I think the Jets right now have 7 wins. What do you think your record would be? I think you'd have 12 wins. I really do. I think you have a near Super Bowl roster with an atrocious quarterback situation. I think you'd have 12 wins if Daniel Jones was your quarterback. I really believe that. He says 11. Yeah, 11, 12. That's where I think you'd be. But as a Jets fan, you should be encouraged, because I think you're a good to very good quarterback away from being a very good team. Yeah, I think you have a good team, but you need a quarterback. Let's see what we got. But, of course, as a Jets fan, you've been hearing that forever, right? You've always needed a quarterback, but you'll get one eventually. I bet the team's ready. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Tommy, man, thank you very much, man. There was a time when we grounded Garcia, ruined Romo, froze out Favre, and beat up Brady against all odds and won it all. Anything is possible once you're in the playoffs. Facts. Now, granted, that was a much more battle-tested team. They had been to the playoffs 2 previous times. Eli Manning had playoff experience. They had a lot of talent on that team on both sides of the line. So on paper, we're not as talented as that team. That Giants team was really talented where it mattered most, right? They were really good on the offensive line, defensive line. They had good playmakers with Amani Toomer and Plaxico Burress. So I don't think we're as talented as that team, but like you said, man, you never know, right? You get confidence, you start building something. Who knows? Maybe you get a couple of favorable matchups, a couple of balls bounce your way, and you go on a magical run. That's what's so fun about the playoffs. It's one and done. It's like the NCAA tournament. Anything can happen, right? That's what makes the first round of the NCAA tournament so intriguing. That's why I watch, to see the potential David knock off the Goliath, and it happens every year. Same thing in the NFL playoffs. Happens every year. So that's why we watch. That's why we want to make the playoffs. Am I predicting it? No. But no matter what, at a bare minimum, it's valuable experience and it's confidence, from within the locker room going into next year, something to build off of. So really excited. Really excited. A Matt of mine says, who do you think the Giants keep from the wide receiver? And I know it's early, but you think we go wide receiver in the first round? Yeah, somebody asked me this earlier. I think the only 2 guys for sure we're keeping on this roster are Hodgins and Wan'Dale Robinson. Maybe we keep some of the back end guys, who knows? But I think those are the only 2 core guys that will be kept in terms of guys that should get valuable reps next year. And then I think we're going to sign a free agent wide receiver or trade for one, and I think we're going to draft one relatively early. As far as your question about the first round wide receiver, I don't know if it'll be the first round. Might be the second round. Might be the third round. I don't know. I would love it if it was the first round. I think that's something that we need to immediately address. But at the same time, you don't reach. We have a lot of other needs. We need a dominant linebacker for sure. We need a Mike, right? We need a cornerback help. So we need interior offensive line help. So I think at that point in the first round, you're just taking the best player on your board. Now, if there's not much of a difference, you probably go wide receiver. But if there's a significant difference, you go with a different position of need. So that's why I don't want to, say we're definitely going wide receiver in the first round. We might not. And a lot of it's going to depend on what we do in the offseason. But I definitely think we're going to draft a starter. No, regardless of the round, whether it be second round, third round, first round, he'll be starting for the Giants next year at the wide receiver position. I think we'll be trading or signing one. William says it was an awesome atmosphere. Let's go playoffs, dude. Giants fans, man. It was harmony. There was really nice guy, but there was one really cranky Giant fan sitting next to me, and he was like, oh, that's what you get with a Duke quarterback. Oh, he was complaining the whole game. And then at the end of the game, you could see how excited he was. Even he was excited. So it was good to see that Giants fans came together today, and it was fun. Independent says, so pumped. Congratulations to all Giants fans. Savor this. We are on the rise. A key to this are small signings like Hodgins and Gerard. Yeah. I mean, so many other players, too, along the way, right? There's been so many small signings we've made this year Landon Collins today, right? The pick six. Huge play in that game, right? That's kind of where the game got out of control from a good, for us. So, Jahad Ward. So many good small signings for the Giants this year. Zach Attack says we could get the Eagles back for Jared Sudfeld. I would love that, man. Knock him out of that number 1 seed. Knock him out of home field advantage. Wolf says 2 weeks of payback, Philly and Minnesota. And then Philly again. I'd like to knock him off in the playoffs where it counts. Let's do it. I think we're going to I'm not going to say I think we're going to beat them. I think we have a good chance to beat Minnesota. And I think most fans agree with that. Nick says, Chris, give the fans in here who couldn't go to the game a little taste of what the atmosphere was like today. I sent you the Tuck clip, Twitter DM. Oh, you did? All right, hold on. I'll share it with the chat if you did. Hold on. Here it is. All right, guys. So here's the this was awesome. And I guess Nick was sitting right by it. Well, right by the screen that was showing it. With Brandon London and Justin Tuck. Let me make this bigger. So this is what Justin Tuck said. We got 11 minutes, 57 seconds. I need you to feel. Pretty cool. Great to see JT get involved, man. He got me amped up when he did that. So we got David, man. Thank you very much, man. Chris, did you catch up with? I did. Justin's a great guy, but yeah, I hung out with Justin for about 2.5 hours before the game. So many other, of his followers and content creators were there as well. Got to meet David, not really meet him, but was in the same vicinity as David Tyree as we walked into the stadium. That was cool too. But yeah, I got to meet Justin. Had a lot of fun. Definitely want to do that more in the future. Caden says, these first 2 weeks of 2023 were about to be so stressful. We have today's game, then next week. Then on the 8th, we got the Natty for NDSU. Yeah, I mean, listen. To me, it's not even stress. I mean, I'm going to be stressed on the day of the playoffs. Don't get it twisted. But I'm just happy. At the end of the year, regardless of what happens now, I'm going to be very happy. On the day of the playoffs, if we get smoked, yeah, you're not going to be happy. But in the grand scheme of things, for this team to accomplish what they've done this year, it's kind of stress-free at this point for me. Like, they've done everything I could have ever asked. They've exceeded my expectations more so than I ever could have asked. And I know for a fact, as a Giants fan, that this team's headed down the right path, which is all I wanted to. That's what I wanted to get out of this season, and I've gotten that, and a lot more than that. So it's been a great year to be a Giants fan. So I think it's only good that could come from the rest of the season. I'm not stressed out. with the rest of the season. Next year, obviously, there'll be added pressure based off of this year, but we'll worry about then. Then. Playoffs, let's go. Do you think we should play DJ and sit Saquon next week? I think we should play both. But that's up to Dable. Maybe don't play him the entire game, but I think we should play both. I really do. I understand. I understand the other side of the argument. You worry about injuries. I get it. But I would play both. I would play the starting team. I really would. I would. And if you want my line of reasoning, look at the Patriots game from 2007. And if I felt this was a team that was a Super Bowl contending team, I may feel differently. But this is a team that is still young. I want them to continue to grow and improve. And I think it's great for the development of this football team to get a test against the Philadelphia Eagles, to grow as a football team. So to see where we're at, to see how much we've grown since the last time we've played them. So I'd play the starters. But if he sits him, I obviously understand why he would do it. Heathen says last year we were doing quarterback sneaks at our own end zone, and now we're in the playoffs. It's been great. It's been a great year. It's been a great year. It's incredible how far it's come. Incredible. John says, speaking of offensive line, we need to play Bredesen full-time at left guard. When he's in there, he creates holes for Saquon. Gates ain't it at left guard, and Flott would play over Darnay. His holds are ridiculous. Darnay is not great in the slot. Darnay got hurt today. I think he came back in the game. I can't remember. He got hurt today. He made one really nice tackle. I'll give Darnay credit for that. He made a really nice play on an end around that, from where I was sitting, looked like it was a 20-yard run. He did a great job getting off his blocker, and I think the guy only gained a yard. But, yeah, Darnay is definitely a vulnerability in terms of coverage at the slot position. Bredesen's played better for the Giants this year, for sure. He's gotten better throughout the course of the year. Probably trending towards being back with the team next year at a bare minimum as a depth lineman. But, yeah, I prefer him to be in the starting lineup at this point. Our interior line's a mess, though. It just is. It was better today, though. I'll give him credit for that. Edward, man, thank you very much, man. If you could choose any New York Giant quarterback in the history for this year's specific playoff picture, who would you choose? Stick with Jones or someone? I mean, I got to go with Eli Manning. I got to. I mean, come on. I love Daniel Jones. I love the job he's done this year. And I think he could grow into a very good quarterback. But with Eli Manning is as clutch as they come in the playoffs. I already know that. I mean, the guy's responsible for the two greatest playoff runs, arguably in the history of football. Going on the road, knocking off incredible teams. He's battle tested. So, yeah, Eli Manning. I mean, come on. You can make an argument Eli Manning's one of the top 3 or 4 clutchest quarterbacks in the history of the sport. So, yeah, Eli Manning. But hopefully Daniel Jones surpasses Eli Manning from that standpoint. That would mean that he's incredible. But yeah, got to go with Eli. JC says, Happy New Year's. Great win. What a year to start. What a way to start off the new year, right? Incredible. Rob says, maybe get the Lions linebacker some reps. Dude, he's horrible. Jalen Smith, awful. What the hell? We didn't even talk about this play today. Of course, he was never faster than DJ. Eli Manning had 2 left feet. Tom Brady wasn't faster than DJ either. But we didn't even talk about this play today. What the hell was that? Where Jalen Smith, you know what it reminded me of? You guys remember the game, I think it was Matthias Kiwanuka, where he had Vince Young wrapped up in the backfield, and it actually cost us the game. And he just let him go because I think he heard a whistle. That's what that play reminded me. What the hell was that? Jalen Smith today. What the hell was that? It had to be something like that. He was scared that he was going to get called for a flag, but my God. What's up, Kevin? Man, thanks for popping in. Smith was embarrassing. Was he high? Yeah. Pumpkin says Jalen thought that Foles threw the ball and let up because that's what I figured it was. That's the only reasonable explanation. But I was sitting there, I was like, what the hell was that? Oh, yeah, Kevin, that was horrible. I remember watching that game at home, and I was, I couldn't get that. I couldn't get that taste out of my stomach for weeks. Sports Tip Butcher says, do you think we have the future of the tight end position solved in Belly? Yes. At least for the next couple of years, yes. That doesn't mean that we can't continue to upgrade at that position. We could use multiple tight ends. But, yeah, I definitely think Daniel Bellinger's a core piece to this offense, for sure. I think he's a well-rounded tight end, known for his blocking. He's got sure hands. Yeah, I like him. He's the exact type of tight end that this New York Giants fan base has been clamoring for years. So, absolutely. I'm thrilled with the way Daniel Bellinger's played this year. I'm thrilled. Yeah, not for me, not quite Shockey. Shockey was a better playmaker, but I like him. I like him a lot. And who knows what he could develop into. I like him. He's a really good prospect. No, I didn't get to meet DRC. I like him too. We're not going to draft him. I don't see us drafting a first-round tight end, but that guy's a monster out of Notre Dame. He's really good. Alex says, can I get a Colts? What happened? Also, can I get a Giants fan stand up? Great game you went to. Bet you had fun. I'll be going to the Giants wild card. I guess you live near Minnesota, or you're just going to travel there. That's awesome. Enjoy the game. But yeah, no, today was a blast. Absolute blast. Sam says, Chris, we did it finally. Go Giants. This I actually agree with. This I agree with, Jersey Life. I think that's a good comparison. I think he's a more athletic Kevin Boss. I think he's everything that Boss was, and Boss was really good for the Giants, with a higher ceiling. I think he's a more athletic Kevin Boss. I think that's a much more fair comparison. But he's not Shockey. Shockey was a freak in terms of, his athletic ability and as a playmaker. He's not that. But I think he's a more athletic Kevin Boss. Ayub says, what's up, Chris? Playoffs? Who cares? Rings matter. Oh, God. Nothing makes these Daniel Jones haters happy. Nothing. Nothing. Alex says, I'll be traveling from Vegas. That's, dude, awesome. Enjoy the game, dude. That's awesome. Let's go Giants. Kevin Boss was great for the Giants. Kevin Boss had one of the biggest plays in that Super Bowl, right? So he was great for the Giants. Ingram is having a pretty good year. Yeah, he is, and you knew that was going to happen. You knew that was going to happen. Let's see. Somebody said, I wanted to pull up a comment I saw. Exactly. I don't care about the draft right now, Michael. I know a little bit because I've been watching college football, but I haven't dove into it at all. Because we have a season to care about. Let's see. I missed it. I wanted to pull up a comment, but I missed it. Yo, Chris, did you see the Packers? I did not. I was driving home from the Giants game, so I did not. But I heard the Packers won, which is good for us. Let's see. And Alex says, Bad Dog has that dog in him. Do you have with Riz? I don't know what you mean by that. Am I supposed to get that? Is that I don't understand that comment. I wish I did. Juan says, Happy New Year's, Chris. Let's go, Giants. Let's go. And Joe Schmo says, how did that Collins, dude? I said it earlier. I was running. I had like okay, so all right, I'll tell the story real quick. So for some reason, in my row, at least at that point in time, there was all empty seats to the left of me. Like 11 empty seats. There were 2 people sitting next to me the entire game, but they were up at that point. They weren't there. And as soon as that ball was thrown, I saw it. I saw the play developing, and I saw that Landon Collins was going to pick it. And I saw he had open grass. So I'm like, that's going to be, in my head, I'm like, that's going to be a pick 6. So as soon as I saw the ball thrown and I saw Collins jumping on the route, I started running down the row along with Landon Collins. I ran like 30 feet because my whole row was open. Like half my row was open to the left. And I just kept running with him. I was clapping the whole way. I was screaming. The stadium erupted when that play went down. Erupted. And Alex says, the Riz Tana, also known as the Risley Bear. I wish I knew what you meant. I don't know what you mean. And Alex says, Riz Tana talking Riz. All right, Riz Tana talking Riz. Let's see. What's going on in Afghanistan? Michael Robinson in the chat. Michael says, what will the Giants do in the playoffs in order to beat the Niners? We're not going to play the Niners, I don't think. I think we're going to play the Vikings, so we don't got to worry about them. Niners won, Vikings lost, so we're going to be lined up with the Vikings. So that's a good thing. I don't want to play them. And Bill, man, thank you so much. Bill's the man, dude. Thank you for being such a great supporter on the channel all the time. Thank you for popping in. Congratulations on the win today. Know you're a diehard Giants fan. He says, just got home from, you were at the game too. I wish I got to meet you, Bill. I was at the game too. Next time. Just got home from the game and one too many after parties. Playoffs, baby. Cheers to old Giants fans. Let's go, man. Let's go. But Bill, man, glad that you enjoyed the game. I can't wait to talk about it all week. Like now I'm excited. Like now we're gonna have a lot of content the next couple of weeks. Like I'm excited. I'm excited for what's coming. The news that came out today about Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. I'll probably talk about that tomorrow with Ian Rappaport. I'm sure you guys have heard it by now. But yeah, looks like they're coming back. So, and I believe in this. Like this is similar to what we heard last year. We started to hear rumblings right around this time, and this is usually where there's some traction to what people say. So I think they're both going to be back. Coded says Joe Judge is the real MVP. If not for the 11-minute rant, we never get Dable. That's a great point. That's a great point. And Alex says, do you entertain the girls, Mr. Riztana? I guess I do. I don't know. Yeah, I think I do. I don't even know what the hell this guy's saying. Darius Smith, man, what's going on, man? Spud says, do you know what time of the day the playoff game will be played? So I have no idea. I don't even. Do you guys know? Is that even predetermined? Is that even predetermined? Like in terms of like when they're going to be playing, or I think they wait until the games are set. But I would guess like whoever plays the Niners is going to be the later game because that's on the West Coast. That's a West Coast team. So I would guess that would be a later game. If we play the Viking, I'm not sure. I'm not sure when it'll be. I mean, we could because we're the New York market, so it's possible. But I would think the Niners game will be a night game because it's on the West Coast. Let's see. Somebody said, would you rather draft Jones or this is a hot take, I guess. Are you asking me would I rather have Kyler Murray or Daniel Jones? I'm taking Daniel Jones. 100%. I don't think, first off, I don't think Kyler Murray would handle New York well, based off the way he's handled the media this year. Kyler Murray has been given the same offensive scheme, and I know people say the scheme's not good, but Daniel Jones had crappy scheme after crappy scheme. Kyler Murray was drafted for this type of offense, an air raid offense. He's been in the same offense for 4 straight years. So he's had stability in terms of not having to learn a new playbook. He's been throwing to Christian Kirk, who got paid $20 million a year by the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's been throwing to DeAndre Hopkins. I'm taking Daniel Jones. I'm taking Daniel Jones over Kyler Murray. And I'm not even thinking about it. I'm taking Daniel Jones. 100% I'm taking Daniel Jones over Kyler Murray. Let's see what we got. So, yes, I think he's the best quarterback from that draft class right now. Ryan says Riz is slang for sweat. Oh, okay. I guess that's a new term from you guys. I don't know. Joe says, great platform for Giants fans. Love your pay. I appreciate that, Joe, man. I love all your guys. I love all you guys, man. Always try to come on here, talk to you guys when I can. Definitely going to have a lot of offseason content. I know I haven't been as active with the content this year. I'm waiting for the offseason to really rev up because I felt like I got to a point, guys, with the content where it was like, it's getting redundant at this point. Like everything is Jones going to be back? Is Barkley going to be back? Is Jones going to? So I'm just like, obviously I'm still going to do my live shows throughout the week. I'm going to do my live streams. But I'm just like, I want to wait now until we start to see the developments of the offseason. And that's when we're really going to ramp it up. When we could dive into the contracts for these players, what the New York Giants are doing, some of the free agent potential targets, the draft, everything else. So really looking forward to doing a lot of offseason content with you guys. Noah says, with Riz means you spit game, you get the girls. Okay. And Alex says, Pete Alonso or Joey Gallo? Pete Alonso. Come on. What kind of shit is that? Pete Alonso. No, I'm taking Daniel Jones. For the Giants specifically, I'm taking Daniel Jones. 100%. 100%. I think Kyler Murray is super overrated. I always have thought that. Yeah. I don't think Kyler Murray would handle New York well. That's part of my evaluation when I'm talking about quarter. I don't think he'd handle New York well. And I don't think he's not great in terms of reading defenses. They had to put a stipulation in his contract that he has to read his playbook. I'm taking Daniel Jones. I know Kyler Murray's a flashier player. I get it. I'm taking Daniel Jones. Is my favorite player Rizzo? No. I'm a Met fan. I hate the Yankees. Well, I don't hate the Yankees, but I don't like the Yankees. I'm a Met fan. And Gowie says, let's freaking go. Giants in the playoffs and DJ shutting up to the haters. Right now, we get revenge game versus the Vikings, and they get destroyed. I sure hope so, man. I sure hope so. I sure hope so. Jai says, what's your take on the KT sack? Yeah, I got to look at that. I mean, I was there. I'm going to be honest with you, Jai. When the sack happened, I was screaming. Like, after I saw, like, you saw it coming from a mile away. And when he looked like a shark going after his prey. And when I saw him hit Nick Foles, I, like, just looked away as soon as he hit him because I was just screaming and yelling and giving every fan near me high fives. Like, and then I look back and I see them roll out the cart and I see Kayvon doing the snow angel. But I don't know the context of the situation. So I want to hear. I don't know. I didn't even get to hear the post-game talk. I don't know if Kayvon spoke on it. I don't know. But it's entirely possible that Kayvon didn't realize the guy was hurt. And he was just as excited as I was and wasn't aware of his surroundings and was just screaming and did his sack dance. So I don't know. You know, I need to know the specifics. But obviously, if he knew the guy was hurt and did that, it doesn't look good. It's not good. He shouldn't do that. And Alex says, KT said, we do a little career ruining. Did he really say that? LT said it was a clean hit. I don't think it was a dirty hit. At least, again, I didn't see it on TV, but it didn't look like a dirty hit. I think where people are bashing, I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked into where, you know, the talk about Kayvon and where people are bashing him. The hit didn't look dirty. I was under the assumption the people that were bashing Kayvon were bashing him because of his post-sack celebration. But the hit didn't look dirty at all. Just looked like a hard hit, a blindside hit. And my screen just expanded, so now I can't see the chat. So let me refresh this. I may drop out of the stream for a minute. Hold on 1 second. I'm back. That I don't know why that happens every now and again. The screen expands, then I can't shrink it back down. But we're back. And let's see. Oh, Zeke, man, what's going on, man? Zeke's been a longtime subscriber of mine, diehard Giants fan. Beloved, I'm in the clouds. Being in the build, you were there. Oh, had to be sure you weren't there. Play mother effing off. Yeah, it was awesome to be there. I knew once I saw the schedule play out the way it had, I was like, I gotta get to the stadium. So it was awesome. And I'm really looking forward to the playoffs. I know you are too. So congratulations on the win today. Let's go kick ass this week. By the way, what'd you think of DJ today? I know like you're kind of lukewarm on DJ. You don't hate him, but you're like, what'd you think of DJ today, Zeke? What'd you think today? Pretty good today. Let's see what we got. Kevin Huff says, Dable was very complimentary of DJ after the game. I know, I heard it. He went above and beyond. Compared him to Josh. I didn't hear that. Compared him to Josh Allen and said he can't wait to see how good DJ will be in another. He said that? Now, I already know he's coming back, but that's going above and beyond. I didn't hear that part of it. I did hear him speak very complimentary about Daniel Jones. I didn't hear him compare him to Josh Allen. And Shocker, man, thank you very much, man, for the $2 donation. I'm curious to hear that tomorrow. I didn't get a chance to hear that. Shocker, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it, buddy. And DJ's in the conversation for a top 10 with a playoff run. If not, he's definitely still in the I agree. I agree. I agree. I think that's where he is right now. And Alex says DJ needs a big contract. I mean, what's your definition of a big contract? Like, what's your definition of a big contract? Like, I didn't hear him say that, Floyd. I did hear him speak very highly of Daniel Jones. I didn't hear him say that. What's your definition of a big contract? Because like fans hear $25 million a year and they think that's a big contract. To me, that's not a big contract for a starting quarterback after their rookie salary. That's what I think he's going to get. I think he's going to get between $25 to $28 million a year on a 3-year deal. That's what I think he's going to get. Right around 3 for 85 or 4 for like 110. That's what I think he's going to get with like a 2-year out. That's what I think he's going to get. Which is not, I know the money sounds insane, but for a starting quarterback, it's not. Taco, what's going on, man? Good to see you, Taco. Says, Chris, we made it. Finally a playoff appearance with the channel. Would you trade for Hopkins or Higgins if they're available, and what would you give up? Yes, for the right price, I would trade for them. People have asked me about Higgins time and time again. I don't see why the Cincinnati Bengals would trade T. Higgins. Now, the point that fans bring up when that comes up, as a topic of conversation is, well, they're not going to be able to pay him because they're going to have to pay Jamar Chase. They're going to have to pay Joe Burrow. But T. Higgins is still in the contract next year. He's still on his work. I'm going to make sure before I speak on this. Let me just make sure. I'm pretty sure I looked this up. T. Higgins next, 2023, he's due $2.7 million against the cap. So why in the world would the Cincinnati Bengals, when Joe Burrow is still on his rookie salary, when you're trying to take advantage of that rookie window, why in the world would they trade T. Higgins next year? Doesn't make any sense to me. And I know you don't have the fifth-year option. I understand that because he was a second-round pick. I don't see that happening. That's a team that's trying to compete to win a Super Bowl. So I don't see them trading T. Higgins. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, maybe he's not happy there. I think people have said that. I don't see him being traded. The more realistic target is the second guy you said, or the first guy you said, and that's DeAndre Hopkins. I think he's a realistic target. I think he will be traded. I don't know if he's going to be traded to the Giants, but I think the Cardinals will trade him. He's not going to want to play there, especially if Murray's going to miss more than half the season. They're kind of in rebuild mode-ish. And if they could get draft capital for him, they will. So I think he will be traded. I think some other realistic targets, if Brady retires, is Godwin. He's 26. You have to think the same thing. If the Bucs are moving off of Brady, they're probably going to try to knock that thing down and restart and start to rebuild through the draft. So Godwin's a guy that may be traded. A guy like Mike Evans may be traded. He's a little bit up there in age, though he's 30. Those are realistic targets that I could see being tradable pieces if the New York Giants want to go that route. But yes, I would trade for DeAndre Hopkins if it made sense. He's got 2 more years on his contract. I think he's due to make $19 million a year on average, which sounds crazy to some people, but Christian Kirk just got that. That's not insane for the wide receiver position nowadays. So, I'd be interested in Hopkins, but the deal would have to make sense. I don't know what his price would be. I don't think I'd want to go with a first-round pick. That's probably what it would cost. That'd be tough for me. I wouldn't cry if they did it, though, because you saw the impact that A.J. Brown had this year with the Eagles. They gave up a first-round pick. But ideally, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to have to do that. Let's see. And Shocker says, "Who do you want to play, the Niners or the Vikings?" I want to play the Vikings for sure. Much better matchup. If you watch my channel, I'm very high in the Niners. I was very high in them. I had them going to the Super Bowl before the year started, and that's when Trey Lance was the quarterback. So I'm very high in the Niners. I think they're a really tough matchup for the Giants, even with Purdy at quarterback. So we already proved we could beat the Vikings. We should have beat them the first time we played them. You think about that. What was so encouraging for me about that game, and some fans may have not liked the way that I reacted because fans want you to flip out when the team loses in that kind of fashion. I took a positive outlook on that game. The way that I looked at that Vikings game was we went into their house on short rest. We played their style of football. Right? Because going into that game, I said, there's no way. We're not going to get into a shootout with this football team. They got all the weapons. They got Justin Jefferson, TJ Hockenson. They got all these weapons to throw to. Osborne. So I'm like, we're going to run the ball. We're going to try to control the clock. We did the exact opposite of that. We went out there. We tried to go toe-to-toe, blow for blow with them. We outplayed them at their own game on the road. We turned the ball over 2 more times than they did, and we still should have won the game. So to me, that was almost like, I know there's no moral victories in football, but it almost had the feeling for me of like the loss against the Packers in 2011, where you were like, wow, like I didn't expect that. So I took a positive outlook on that game in terms of the way that the team played. And I think we match up well with Minnesota. I think we stand a good chance to beat them. Kevin, man, thank you very much. He says, just to clarify, he compared the progress that Allen made over the years to the progress that DJ has made and will make going forward. Okay. I can't wait to hear it, Kevin. So I didn't hear it yet, but I always listen to all the post-game quotes. I listened to it on the radio coming back. I didn't hear that portion of it. Maybe he was asked something on another, with another radio, interview or whatever. I didn't get a chance to hear that part of it, but the fact he's talking about the progress lends itself towards their thinking, for at least for a few more years with Daniel Jones to see what he could potentially be, which is great to hear. Kalen says, what a difference a year makes. So happy. Let's go. Let's go, Kalen. And Zeke says he played really well. Needs more games like this. He controlled everything. Dude, Zeke, that's a franchise quarterback. I'm not saying he is one yet, but that's a franchise quarterback, right? Like, biggest game of his career. And you think about this, Zeke. You think about this with Daniel Jones. Again, I've talked about it all year. That's what I'm looking for in a quarterback. The crucial moments. How do you perform? Not just in terms of the crucial games, crucial moments from within any game. 2-minute warning, end of the game, right? You need a game-winning drive. Can you go down the field and make a play, even in the middle of the game, like we saw against Washington a couple of weeks ago when our defense was getting gassed. They possessed the ball for 14 minutes. We start with the ball on our own 2-yard line. Daniel Jones drives them down the field. But that's what I'm looking for in a quarterback. How do you step up in the big moments? Daniel Jones in the big games this year has stepped up. First Washington game, he played great. Should have won the game. Should have absolutely won that game. You had the John Feliciano unnecessary roughness penalty. You had the Darius Slayton drop. Daniel Jones played great in that game. Second game, obviously Kayvon Thibodeau's signature game. But Jones played okay. He played okay. He had his signature drive, best drive of his career. Vikings game last week, incredible. He played great. And then today, incredible. So in big moments, Daniel Jones has played well this year in big games and in big spots from within earlier games this year. Same thing. Packers, Ravens, so on and so forth. So that's what I like to see. I got to meet Chris at the game too, man. What's going on, Chris? He says, it was a pleasure to finally meet you, bro. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me. Can't wait to see you at the next game, Giants. Yeah, man, for sure. It was great getting to meet you. I was hanging out with you on the way into the stadium, and really good guy. And yeah, I think you actually got to take a picture with David Tyree. I was jealous. And Ethan, man, what's going on, man? Devontae Adams could be available if Carr leaves. Possible, but his contract is absurd. Like, they backloaded the hell out of that contract. He's due like $50 million in 2 years or something. Look at his contract. It's crazy. I don't think we're trading for him. Grim Solo, thank you very much, says A.J. Brown is 25. If we trade for a receiver, I'd like him to be 25 to 28 right now. Hopkins is going to be 31. Diggs was 20. I agree. Ideally, that's what I want. I just don't know if that will be there. But yes, if you could get a wide receiver that's younger, that's ideal. The question is that available? Godwin's 26. I don't think he's on the level of those guys, but he's 26. He's definitely a good receiver. Ian, man, thank you very much. He says, who's the most realistic wide receiver we could trade for right now? I think I just named him. I think it's Hopkins. I think it's – all right, let me go over the list again real quick. I'll scan over the teams real quick in terms of possibilities. Nobody on the Bills, nobody on the Patriots, nobody on the Dolphins, nobody on the Jets, nobody on Cincinnati. I don't think Higgins is getting traded. Nobody on Baltimore. Nobody on the maybe Deontay Johnson on the Steelers. Possible. I don't see anybody on the Browns. Nobody on the Jaguars. Nobody on the Titans. Maybe Pittman on the Colts. I don't know if they'd be open to trading him. He's young. Maybe they're trying to knock it down. So maybe Pittman on the Colts. Brandon Cooks, again, an older potential target, but still a good wide receiver on Houston. Nobody on Kansas City. Nobody on the Chargers. I don't think Adams is realistic on the Raiders. Nobody on the, I don't think any, well, maybe Judy on the Broncos, possible. Nobody on the Eagles, nobody on the Cowboys, nobody on Washington, nobody on Minnesota, nobody on Detroit. I don't think anybody on, nobody on Green Bay. They don't even have receivers. Nobody on, well, Christian Watson looks good, but they're obviously not trading him. Nobody on the Bears. The Bucs have two. If Brady retires, Godwin and Mike Evans, I think, could be potential targets. DJ Moore maybe on Carolina, even though his contract's crazy. Well, it's not that crazy, but it's high. I don't see anybody on Atlanta, the 49ers. I doubt the Seahawks would trade Metcalf. Yeah, I think it's Hopkins. I think the most realistic guys are Hopkins, Evans, Godwin, maybe DJ Moore, maybe Pittman, Cooks. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I think are potential realistic targets. Obviously, there's guys I would desire more if they became available, but those are the guys that I think are most realistic. Yeah, Judy too. Yep, Judy. And Tana, the last thing we need is more injuries. I think he started. He might, Jacob. I wouldn't be surprised either way, but I'm pretty sure I heard that he's not sitting the starters next week. And delete him, man. Thank you very much, man. A little birdie told me the Giants are winning the Super Bowl. I hope you're right. Marvin, how old is Marvin Jones though? He's older now, right? I don't think he'd be a target. Maybe Tyler Boyd because maybe I go back to why would Cincinnati trade these guys? Well, Joe Burrow's still on his rookie salary. I don't know. Unless they just weren't happy, in Cincinnati. McLaurin, but Washington probably, they're not going to trade him to us. That's why I didn't mention them because they're not going to trade him to us. I thought Jacoby Myers was a free agent. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Somebody mentioned Jacoby Myers. I thought he was a free agent from the New England Patriots. Am I wrong on that, guys? Let me know. Zeke, man, thank you very much, man. Anyone can be traded. I think Brandon Ayuk would be a good look for us and wouldn't he would cost more than you think. I think. I would love Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk is freaking awesome. All right, so he is a free agent. Yeah, I thought he was. Brandon Ayuk is awesome. I think, I actually look at Ayuk as a potential Diggs. Like, I think if Ayuk got a opportunity to be a featured wide receiver like Diggs got with Buffalo, he could break out. Like, whenever I watch a 49er game, I'm like, that guy's awesome. Brandon Ayuk is really talented. I think he would cost more than you think. I think he's really good. His stats may not indicate it because they've got Kittle and they've got Deebo Samuel. Now they got McCaffrey, and they don't have a wide receiver, quarterback rather, that throws the ball around the field. But I think Brandon Ayuk is really good. I think he would cost a good amount. Will J, man, he says, could Gabriel Davis not be an option? I know Buffalo wouldn't think about it, but it could be possible because of the connection. I don't know what his contract is. I don't know what his contract is. Let me look. Gabriel Davis, because obviously the Bills connection would make sense, right? I don't think he's a free agent though. I think he's under contract. Let's see. Yeah, he's still under contract next year. I see no reason why the Bills would trade him. He's only making $1 million. And he's even though he's not having an incredible year, he's still, a valuable part of that offense. So I don't see that happening. Yeah, Galladay's gone. Yeah, I think Brandon Cooks is realistic. I don't know if I'd want him because he's up there in age and he gets hurt a lot, but yeah, I think he's realistic. Depends on the price. Let's see. Tate, do you think we have a chance against San Francisco? We get them. I mean, we have a chance against anybody, but I think our chances against San Francisco are much lower than our chances against Minnesota. Like, if I had to put a percentage on it, I would put Minnesota. I think I would, even though it's on the road, I think I would legitimately give us like a 40% chance to beat Minnesota. Like, I think we have a legitimate chance to beat them, like a very good chance to beat them. San Francisco, I'd probably put it like 20%. Like, I'd give us a chance, but not nearly as high as the Minnesota game. I just don't like the way we match up against the 49ers. And Madden, man, thank you very much, man. Shane really nailed the draft after the first 2 picks. Excited to see what he does with the 9 picks. I mean, listen, I'm not going to judge his draft class yet. It's hard. It's always hard to judge a draft class. You have to give it 3 or 4 years, right? We've seen what Dexter Lawrence has become, Andrew Thomas has become. But his draft class has potential, right? We've seen Bellinger looks good. Belton has shown flashes Hasn't been on the field a whole lot. Wando Robinson looked good before he got hurt in that one game once he started to get that expanded role. Cordell Flott, I think, has good I think he has a decent potential. I think he's got pretty high potential. Hasn't really showed it yet, but I think he's got he's got to put on weight. He's got to put on muscle. But Cordell Flott to me has what you want in a cornerback in terms of from a physical standpoint. He's fast. He's got long arms. He's tall. I think he's 6'1", so he's pretty tall. He's got above average arm length, and he's fast. So I like Cordell Flott. I think he could develop into something, but we'll see in the next couple of years. It's hard to judge a draft class, though. I think you got to give it a couple of years. And Demir says, that's how you do the Chris playoff bound, baby. Let's go, Demir. Come on, baby. And Malcolm says, what wide receivers do you think we take in the first 3 rounds? I mean, my God, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I could name Hyatt, right? I think he's a possibility. You got the kid from USC, Addison. He's a possibility if we're going in the first round. I don't think Johnston will get to us from TCU. It seems like Quentin Johnson, I'm not saying he's going to be as good as him, because that would be crazy if he became as good as him. But when I watch Quentin Johnson on TCU, the receiver that he reminds me of in terms of his style of play and in terms of his height and in terms of how he's able to move at that height, he kind of reminds me of Larry Fitzgerald. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as him. Larry Fitzgerald is one of the top 5 wide receivers of all time. But Quentin Johnson, I think, is going to be a special player in the NFL. But he's not getting to us. I think he's going to go in the top 10 picks. There's some good wide receivers in this draft, though. Joe says, never forget 2011. That defense was better with a sober Aldon Smith Bowman. We shocked the world. You never know. That's why you play the games. That's why you fight to make the playoffs. The Giants should not. Josh Downs, yeah, he's a good prospect too. Harry says the Giants should not have a game plan next week, like a week 17. What do you mean by not have a game plan? They had a game plan week 17 against the Patriots. Will J, man, thank you very much. He says, I know people say offense is where a trade might happen, but how come defense is not an option? Linebacker, it's an option. I think they'll explore all options if they feel like it could improve the team. We got holes all over. It's not just a wide receiver. But I think fans are rightfully so harping on getting wide receiver help because it's now been 4 years we've been trying to evaluate this quarterback, and we haven't been able to evaluate him. This year, he's made the most out of his situation, but we haven't been able to evaluate him because, I mean, what's the best wide receiver Daniel Jones is thrown to? I mean, Golden Tate, a washed-up Golden Tate, that's been his best wide receiver probably throughout his entire career. And he's now been in 3 different schemes. So I think that's why fans are like, myself included, like, let's get this guy a wide receiver now. I was always a huge offensive line guy. I still think we need to improve the offensive line, but I think we've addressed that now as far as the tackles go, which is the most important spot of an offensive line. And then you work on the center and the interior and so on and so forth. But now I think you got to get some weapons. You got to open up this offense. So, yeah, that's my outlook on it. You got it, G-Man. Thanks for popping in, man. Oh, look, I love seeing people come in here. Daniel Jones starting to grow on me, not going to lie. All right, Nick. Hey, man, I'll be the first to say there came a point this year where he started to grow on me. Yeah, I love him. I mean, he's a giant. I'm going to always love him, but I love what he's done for us this year. I love the growth of him this year. I want to see more. I need to see more, but I love what we've seen out of him this year. And he's a warrior. Mark, man, thank you very much, man. I waited for over an hour after the game outside hoping DJ would sign. He went to the other crowd, signed a few, and walked away feeling like a star with everyone cheering his name. Let's go playoffs. Let's go, man. That's awesome. And Gowie says, Colin Johnson be back. Thought he had potential. Who knows? I mean, obviously he was a camp invitee, and He looked good. I hope. You know, he's the type of prospect I could see garnering attention. You know, on a couple places. A former 5th round pick. He's got height. He looked good in training camp. Teams will have some tape on him. But hopefully he wants to come back. I mean, he obviously was familiar with the offense. He has some chemistry with Daniel Jones. Played with Jones the year before. So I'd love to have Colin Johnson back as a back end of the. You know, I don't personally want him as a starter, but as a back end of the wide receiver guy, absolutely. I missed the super chat. Hold on. I didn't mean to miss your super chat. I'm going to get to it. Sorry, Courage. I'll find it. I got you. Courage. Sorry, buddy. I never like to miss those. Sorry about that. He says, "Do the Giants keep Shepard?" He's always on Insta. I think we're gonna keep Shepard. But I think it's going to be on like a Darius Slayton contract. It's going to be like what Slayton got like $800,000 this year. Like he's going to get a league min salary because like Shepard to me doesn't have much of a market. The guy's always hurt. You know, hasn't been able to stay on the field the last 3 or 4 years. He's not the youngest guy anymore, and he loves being a Giant. He's well respected from within the locker room, and you could just tell he loves being here. And if he wants to continue to play football, I have no problem bringing him back on a really cheap salary, locker room guy, a guy that could help you when he could stay on the field. Yeah, I think he will be back, actually, if he wants to continue playing football. I think it'll be on, like I said, next to nothing salary. Don't expect him to play a whole lot because I think we're going to try to upgrade that wide receiving core. But, yeah, at least as a valuable veteran, a guy that's well-respected from within the locker room, I actually think he will be back if I had to predict one way or the other. As long as he's playing football next year, I think he'll be a Giant. And Money Monkey, what's going on, man? He says, had to say I've always stuck up for Daniel Jones. He was in a horrible spot his whole career. Let's go, DJ. Let's go, G-Man. Let's go. Super happy for him, man. How could you not be? Even though Azeez has been hurt every time he played, he had a strip sack. He's looking like a monster. I mean, Azeez Ojulari's got 5.5 sacks in 6 games. He had 8 sacks last year in his rookie year. Yeah, Azeez Ojulari's really good. Him and Kayvon Thibodeaux, as long as, like you said, Azeez could stay on the field, they're going to be lethal for the next few years. Hopefully for the next 10 years. Yeah, Bill, I think he's done too, in terms of being a guy that you could count on. But whatever. If he comes back in as a 5th or 6th receiver next year, I'm okay with that. But I don't think he's going to be a guy that they expect to be in the starting lineup. And Mr. Grant says, Tana, don't forget DJ has been doing this for a while. He didn't have anyone to throw to at Duke either, but the guy just finds ways to make plays. Yeah, I mean, Duke, if I recall, I don't think one player got drafted that he played with throughout his entire career at Duke. And they led the country in drops. I think his last year at Duke. I think they had like over 40 drops. Like it was something insane. Yeah, I mean, he's had no support his entire career. So let's get him some support, please. Shep 2 years ago was putting guys on skates. Depends on how he recovers. I just don't think he's going to be able to stay on the field. The guy's just too injury prone. But I love him. Like he's impossible not to love Sterling Shepard. But guys, I'm exhausted. I can't believe I still have a voice. I will be live a lot over the next couple of weeks, especially on playoff week. I will have a video up tomorrow at some point for sure. And I may even go live at some point. Probably not tomorrow, but in the next couple of days. Because I know we all want to talk about the Giants right now. I want to talk about the Giants. I had an absolute blast at the game today. Love all you guys. Congratulations on the win, Giants fans. Still can't believe we're going to the playoffs. I still can't believe we're going to the playoffs. Oh, it's incredible, man. It's been an incredible ride this year. And I think we got a shot in Minnesota. Let's hope we match up with Minnesota. I think we got a good shot if we do. But guys, be good. Talk to you soon. Enjoy the win. Enjoy your New Year's. Yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Be good, Giants fans.